Because we have a real snowstorm that is coming to Omaha. A real snowstorm. And for all of you that have a nice shiny snowblower, that is a moment of pride. You have the best snowblower in the neighborhood, or you're the person that blows everybody's snow. You've dusted it off. It was had cobwebs on it. It was in the back of the garage. You kind of had stuff around it because around here we got a little dome. We don't get these major snowfalls. But I'm telling you, I hate to break the news. I
Oh,
hate to break the
Gary.
news. All of you that are not working today, that you're out of school, and what is headed our way. My weather models in my computer there in the trusty home office tell me we're going to get about 4.6 inches of snow. That's what I say. Bill Ranby has already rolled up his sleeves. He slept with his sleeves rolled up last night,
That sign?
comfortably next to his wife, Julie.
Mhm.
I don't think we're going to be able to avoid this, but if you are a proud person that you are sitting, you got your game day face on, and you put eye black on to go out and snow blow, this is the day for you. Or the people that are going to plow snow that we vitally rely on, whether they plow it on our streets or in our lots, like the private contractors who have taken a little bit of a little bit of hit with their money because they haven't been able to plow as much snow. This is the day for you. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but my models are telling me we're going to get 4.6 inches of snow.
Sadly, I'd take 4.6 over the 8 to 12, some have said. So that's where I'm at.
Well, there was, and wasn't it like going to be freezing rain up until like now? It just sounds like it's going to be.
Nick didn't hear what I said.
I know.
I didn't. I'm sorry.
He said he would take.
Oh,
4 to 6.
Remember, first hour.
You got to keep it. Got to keep it light because the snow will not be light.
And I knew this because I've been with Gary enough to know that. Yeah, I kind of teed that up.
I'll have to tell you guys. I'll tell you this joke off the air.
Nick, you got to lean in. You have a little sexual innuendo at 6:08 in the morning.
Yeah,
kids aren't listening today.
I'm more used to 3 to 6 inches. Sorry about that.
I mean, it's cold out there, so
I'm out of this conversation now. I'm just looking at now. Sean Everson over KTV said 6 to 10. I say 4.6.
No, come on. Yeah, 4.6 is fine.
Possible.
I'm okay with that. I'm one of those people that I will gas up the snowblower hoping that it has the reverse effect. When everyone says, oh, I went out and bought a snowblower and then they never had to use it. Or, I winterized it. It's ready to go. And then they never have to use it. Like, I'm fine. If I got to run that thing in March to burn off all the gas because I didn't use it, I'm totally okay with that. I mean, I like having it if I have to use it as opposed to shoveling. It's great, but I just assume not use it at all because I hate winter. I just do.
Same.
I loved it when I was little. Hate it now, and yeah,
insane.
So I don't get super yoked up for it. I'm not very excited about it. It's just like, oh God, really? Okay.
I would think you
put the head down and do it.
A lot of people that have their own snowblower that got to blow, their driveway and their sidewalks, and they do it for their other neighbors. I would think you haven't used it very much, so you're like excited, like you're preparing for this. You're making sure that it's all gassed up, that it's all nice and shiny. You cleaned it up, and that you gave it like in the driveway a little practice run, just to make sure that you're still in season.
Oh yeah, I mean I've started it. The one we were supposed to have. Remember when we were having like the fire drill of like, all right, we're gonna be in our locations to do the show, and it didn't do anything. Yeah. That's what I had filled it up like 2 days prior. I started it to make sure it actually started because months go by, you never know, something may not be working. So unless something's changed between middle December and now, I think I'm okay. I didn't give it a test drive.
You're ready for the big game.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I feel confident that I can execute the game plan. I prefer to be on the bench. Yeah. That's the best way I can put it.
Just don't pull an Alex Rodriguez and try and convince everybody that you snowblowed your driveway when you actually did not. And people can see either the sticker still on the shovel or they can tell that there are tire tracks that are in your driveway.
Right.
Yeah. Just don't make that mistake if you want to prove to everybody how much snow you're going to snow. Now, I would love to be completely wrong because I don't want to be snowed in the Dakotas while everybody down here is dealing with it.
It's the worst places to be snowed in, though.
I would say go into North Dakota. Yeah.
This isn't an NDSU no-DAC trip.
No, this is not very far from home, but just far enough from home up to Sioux Falls.
What is Grand Forks? What is that? What's that time?
A long way up there.
Yeah. So if you're like bussing or driving, it's
We haven't bussed a lot to there. I just put it that way.
so it's long enough then.
It is a long
if you're
trip.
not bussing, that means
It's a long trip. When you get off the plane and there's 24 inches of snow, yeah, that's
like welcome.
You say, you know what, this would be a nice place to visit during the summer, not in the winter.
You feel like Rocky arriving in Russia, and you see the flag blowing and the snow flying.
I'm you know what? It is what it is. We've been lucky. I mean, what is it?
We have been very lucky.
What is today? January 18th. Okay. We really haven't
heard it
had
here
anything.
first.
January 18th. Breaking news. We haven't had anything. I mean, I had to shovel like lightly because there was just a little bit, and I didn't want like ice pack.
My only thing with the meteorologists is they seem to be really happy.
Too happy.
Yeah. You should not be happy about snow coming. Like when you show a picture of I-80 out west and it's already closed, you should not have like excitement in your voice. Now you shouldn't have doom in your voice, but you shouldn't be, look at that. Oh my. Wow, look what's coming. You should be just be very factual.
It's a thing of beauty.
I-80 is closed out west like it normally is this time of the year with a snowstorm, and just prepare accordingly.
Mother Nature is beautiful.
But you know who while some people, you excluded, like are looking forward to getting the snowblower out, another faction of the people that are involved in the snow that are not looking forward to today is that low on the totem pole TV reporter that will be stuck
at 72nd and
will
Dodge?
be stuck or like at 72nd and Dodge, or they will be like at around 42nd Street where you got I-80 in the background.
Yeah.
So you can tell everybody there's snow, or they're in the passenger seat while the great photog is forced to drive in treacherous conditions.
Yep.
As you can see, and I'm not driving, it's snowing.
I feel like that's a bonding moment for
Back to
both.
you.
I always feel like when you are put in that situation and you're seeing some stuff, I feel like that's a bonding moment for said photog and reporter. It's like, yeah, we went through that. We got through that. And you're making peanuts doing so.
All right, we're in this together, everybody. We'll keep you updated. We're all here for you, even though you're at home. And even we're here for people that are smart enough that they planned a trip to a warmer climate today to go golfing, go by the water or whatever. Yeah, we're talking to you. I know who you are.
Is there nothing better, though, if you're that person and then you're getting the text from family and they're like, yeah, we're going to get 5 inches, 6 inches of snow. And they're just like, oh,
man, look
we timed that so well. Hey, you do.
Hey, when I was living in Florida and, this time of the year, mid-January in South Florida, it's probably mid-60s to 70. And down there, when they do the weather, they don't really show the rest of the country. It's more of the South, unless there is like a major snowstorm.
Yeah.
And I did feel for friends and family back here when there would be a major snowstorm, and we were bundled up at 65.
Do we bundled up at 65?
It's cold. That wind coming off the water at 65 in the middle of January is chilly.
You mentioned the forecasters get really excited. Like this is game day for them and get super into it. This would have been, I want to say maybe like 2015-ish. You remember, of course, Jim Flowers. He would get a little bit more excitable than most when it came to.
He did get excited.
More ways than one. Extreme weather.
I'll have to look that one up, I guess.
But there was one time, and this is the thing that always drove me nuts, is it was like a winter storm that was probably more than a week out. And so they were starting to get like some early forecast models. And I'm not even kidding you, because it became a big, he predicted 2 to 22 inches of snow on this thing. It's
That's quite the range.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, clearly your model is not telling you anything specific. So why even mention it? You could say, go as far as this. We're tracking a potential significant weather system, a weather event in a week or so. Well, we don't have our totals yet, but it could be. But because no one was here in the 2 inches. They were here in the 22 inches. So for a freaking week, I had to hear it. I heard it from my wife, heard it from just about everybody that I interacted. Oh, gosh, we're going to get 22 inches of snow. No, did you hear the other part of it? 2-22.
We're getting 2.
And you know what? I think we ended up getting like 3. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how it works. But I think this one is a real one. So
it is. It is. I'm just saying that just ticked me off. Like, why would you say that? 2
I
to
say
22.
4.6. All right, welcome in everybody. We'll keep you updated. We got our traffic crew are here. They will be monitoring the internet or out on the roads. I don't know how they do traffic
In the traffic center as we speak.
All you have to do to do traffic at this radio station is, hey, you talk about 72nd and Dodge, you talk about the Dodge Expressway, and then just go a rando street. Things are
All's
backed
looking
up.
good on the JFK.
Things are backed up. And if you are trying to travel through the park by UNO, which just completely escaped me.
Elmwood?
Yeah, Elmwood Park. Do not get caught behind one of the Omaha shuttles.
Yeah.
Who I think are...
You don't want to do that on a normal day.
So, quick question here, just off of the point of the weather, and we'll get to a busy show today. We have a lot to talk about, a lot of basketball that went on yesterday that will be going on tonight. Creighton won last night, as you heard here on the Zone. They beat Butler at the House of Horrors, which is Hinkle Fieldhouse. They slayed that. Is there a regulator on those little shuttles that drive in Elmwood Park? So I have to go to Sapp Fieldhouse quite a bit. So I'll, come across from Exarban Village and then get into Elmwood Park. And I always end up behind one of those shuttles. And they might be going 4 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And I sometimes think it's the person driving is just trolling everybody else. And they're like, you guys can wait your turn.
Yeah.
And then I think, well, maybe they don't go that fast. But I am really on a good streak, knock on wood, of there is a 549 Metro bus that makes the turn at Pacific and 60th to go on to Leavenworth.
Mm-hmm.
And if I am a minute late, I'm going to end up behind that bus. So, I mean, I can see it. That person is on time.
Yeah, they got a schedule to keep.
Yeah. So I'm wondering how slow the Omaha shuttle bus goes, because the Metro bus, I think that guy trolls people behind him, because I got behind him yesterday and he was going maybe 6 miles an hour.
You know how most
on
people
Leavenworth, and I'm like, what are we doing, pal?
Their speedometer says like 140. His says, we're revving it up, guys. Yeah, it's probably capped out.
All right.
I'm sure it probably is.
All right. So that's just my little thing. But you could add that on the traffic report. Yeah, if you're traveling through Elmwood Park, the shuttles are running and you can expect a delay.
Well, the good news is it's not torrential rain, so Saddle Creek, you should be fine.
All right. Coming up on the show, the lineup brought to you by the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. Scott Chanley will stop by at 9. We are to the divisional round. One road team has won every year in the divisional round since 2017, outside of 2019. Who will be the one this year? So Scott will join us coming up at 9. Brandon Vogel stops by at 9:40 with lots to discuss midweek. Today is portal shutdown day. The portal is closed. Tristan Gebbia has found a home.
How about that?
Good on him.
Yeah.
We'll discuss a little bit later as he is going to Ohio State. But last night, as I mentioned, here on the Zone, Creighton and Butler. Creighton, when it closed, it was a 7-point favorite. Butler already had a plethora of injuries. Manny Bates was out. Nobody's going to feel sorry for him. I don't think Nebraska or BYU or Arizona State were feeling sorry for Creighton when Kalkbrenner was out of the game. But Butler's not great. But you are playing at Hinkle Fieldhouse. And last night, thorough effort by Creighton.
Mm-hmm.
Pillar to post. It got kind of interesting when it got 26-24, but then they blew it open again, and Alexander banks in the 3 at the end of the first half, and they go into the locker room with a nice little lead. Don't overthink what happened last night in Hinkle. And it was important that Creighton won at Hinkle because that place has turned some of the better Creighton teams upside down. But in this moment, especially when you're looking at a week off, because Creighton doesn't play for a week. They don't play again until a week from today when they play St. John's. Did Creighton win a game they should have won? That's the simple question about last night. Because if you look at the metrics are still pretty good, and I'll be very curious now, less than 8 weeks from now, how the committee looks at Creighton's resume, especially when you look at the games that Kalkbrenner was not there. The numbers say, why is this team 11-8? Why are they 5-3 in the Big East? That's for a room full of committee members to do. But all Creighton can do is, are you winning the games that you should win? And I know you don't want to take winning for granted, and winning is hard. But sometimes when you look at the matchup, if you're playing your best against what they have to offer is their best, you should win a basketball game. And that's the easiest thing about last night is Creighton won a game they should have won. They didn't mess around. They didn't dance with Butler. They didn't leave Butler in the game at the under 4 media timeout when all of a sudden, the Hoosiers all of a sudden starts to filter into the building and people are looking for Jimmy Chitwood. They took care of business last night and they won a basketball game, and now they can get away from the facility for a couple of days, and they won a game, and now they have a chance to pick up a little momentum because the schedule isn't going UConn, Xavier, Providence, bad place where you've had some bad juju in. So they won a game that they were supposed to win last night, and they won it handily.
Well, and you mentioned, you asked the question yesterday, what would it look like with Manny Bates out? And if you're not living inside, then something's up. And my gosh, I mean, Creighton was living in the paint. I mean, even seeing, from what they were able to do with Freddie King, you're getting contributions. They knew exactly what they're going to do. And this kind of, again, goes to Creighton identifying, all right, this is how we're going to win the basketball game. Executed it. Yeah. I mean, Butler was shorthanded. Butler was not going, as long as Creighton didn't all of a sudden just miss bunny after bunny or have an ice cold shooting night. It just felt different than some previous games that they've had at Hinkle Fieldhouse. And so knowing that you have a strong inside presence with Kalkbrenner, but what you can do inside, being able to, I feel like, and maybe last night was another example of this. I feel like Creighton is over the whole, the timid play offensively. When they were without Kalkbrenner, when you had guys like Trey Alexander and even Ryan Nemhard who were reluctant to try to get to the hoop. They were more settling for, long range jumpers and maybe not even the best shots when there were opportunities, plenty of them, but they weren't taking them. I felt like last night, I feel like, maybe it is because Kalkbrenner is back, but I feel like they're past that. And I think that that's big in games like this, where you clearly had an advantage in the paint, where you could be creative, whether it was Kalkbrenner, whether it was King, whether you were having your guards get in there. And so I think being able to do that and establish so much offensively for this team. So it does come back to what we're trying to assess out of this entire run and stretch of games in the Big East for Creighton. And you got one of those games against the top three, which you did that at home against Providence, and that was great. Then you go into what could be considered a trap game, as we've talked about for the last 48 hours of being 0 for their last 5 when their trips at Hinkle Fieldhouse. Yeah, there was going to be an advantage because of what Butler is this year and what they were also without, but it didn't necessarily mean, okay, Creighton just needs to show up. They had to prove that. So I think what we've taken away now, at least I have, is they've shown the ability that they can play with anybody in the Big East, but they also have the ability to go on the road and take care of teams that they should. Because winning on the road, I don't care what the conference is, it's not easy. In a place like that, it's not easy. So they should feel good about themselves. I think the way that they finish this stretch, you should have a lot of confidence going into that now part of the schedule where it does kind of, it mellows out just a little bit.
Yeah, I hate this. The Big East does this every year. Everybody gets a week off. That's a weird, some teams elect to find a non-con game to slip in there.
Yeah, didn't Creighton play Truman one year?
Yeah.
It was
Because wasn't their week off earlier?
Yeah.
Or maybe it was around the same time. But it's, would you rather have it later in February or now? But nothing you can do. You got a week off. And their margin of error is small, and they won a game last night. Sneaky thing about Kalkbrenner that I've always thought about him, you could tell that before he ever got to Creighton, he was well coached. And then he's, his development has taken off in his time here in Omaha, is something I can appreciate for a guy who, my baseball card says I'm 5'11", but sometimes when I'm out there hooping it up, when, you get a little run in over the noontime and I play like I'm about 6'6" on the wing, is blocking shots. I can appreciate somebody that blocks a lot of shots and they don't try and swat them into the fourth row.
Yeah.
Or they don't try and send a message. They block shots where they keep the ball in play.
Right.
And that's something I've always appreciated about Kalkbrenner in his blocking shots. First of all, he doesn't foul a lot, but when he goes up to block a shot, he's not just trying to make a statement of, I'm going to send this ball to the moon and don't ever come in here again. well, I'm going to block the shot, but I'm going to try and find a way to keep it in play that we can turn a block into points at the other end.
Yeah.
And he was able to do that last night. All right, we do have basketball tonight in Lincoln. The weather will not impact the game, may impact you getting to the game, but Ohio State is already in Lincoln, so they will play tonight at 6. Who will play for Nebraska? We will discuss that again as we roll till 10. It's mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. 1620 The Zone wants you to win Gary's booty. Whoa, wait, what? Win $100 or more every weekday on Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Listen during the 6 and 8 o'clock hours for Gary and Nick to give you their stat of the day. Then during the 7 and 9 a.m. hours, listen for the cue to call, know the stat, and win a buttload of cash. Answer it correctly, and Gary's booty gets even bigger. Yep, we'll keep adding $100 to the booty bank till the correct answer's given on air. Win your share of Gary's booty on Mornings with Sharp and Handley with 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Winter storm warning in effect Wednesday. Expect a light wintry mix and snow to move into the metro between 9 and 11 a.m., then changing over to heavy wet snow in the afternoon with temperatures in the lower 30s. Road conditions deteriorate throughout the day as heavy snow persists through the evening drive. Heavy snow becomes light overnight, then will wrap up by early Thursday morning. 6 to 10 inches possible in the metro. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a significant slowdown from 192nd to 168th on Center. Then along Highway 370, be prepared for a little bit of a slowdown from Richland Drive to 72nd. And on L, things are slowing down just a little bit from 36th to 33rd. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This Time-Saving Traffic was brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
The Nebraska Lottery has raised over $908 million, which has helped to provide more than 117,000 college scholarships, save wildlife habitats across the state, and fund new facilities at the Nebraska State Fair. The Nebraska Lottery, helping to build a better Nebraska.
Email us on the Equitable Bank inbox with whatever is on your mind. Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. You can get me, Gary, at 1620thezone.com. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone Inbox.
Thank you to everyone who voted for MD West One in the Best of Omaha contest. We are thrilled to announce MD West One has been named the #1 private medical practice in Omaha for 4 years in a row. MD West One is also named first place in the orthopedic surgery and neurosurgical spine surgery. Our 34 board certified surgeons specialize in treating every bone, joint, or muscle condition from head to toe. Go to mdwest1.com to meet the #1 place to go for orthopedic, neurosurgery, and spine.
The Creighton Blue Jays return home Wednesday night for the first matchup this season with St. John's. Pre-game coverage begins with Robbie Lula at 6 p.m. Tip-off is at 8. The Blue Jays Wednesday night on 1620 The Zone and 101.9 The Keg.
Did you know that radon is the #1 cause of lung cancer for non-smokers and that our region has some of the highest levels in the country? Radon Defense Midwest can test and fix your home. Visit radonradio.com for an exclusive offer for 1620 The Zone listeners. That's radonradio.com.
The brand new Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair is now hiring. Starting wage is up to $20.10 per hour with benefits including medical, dental, vision, 401k, and a $2,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/career. Again, apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Dollar General can't wait to have you become a team member at their brand new distribution center.
Looking for a fun business team building or meeting idea? Look no further. Golf DJ's Dugout. Try the fun and new golf simulator at DJ's Dugout 10th and Capitol downtown. Great for groups and individuals. Party packages are available, and DJ's has a huge selection of delicious appetizers, food, and drinks that your team will love. DJ's amazing media displays are great for business meetings, too. Golf DJ's Dugout downtown. For more information, visit djsdugout.com. That's djsdugout.com.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Babbel. Évidemment.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Meet Joe A,
Hi.
Joe B,
Hello.
and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect, support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back in on a Wednesday morning. Couple of things for all of you. We are now the mornings on 1620 The Zone are now part of the texting generation. We now have access to our text. So you can text the show at 951-1620.
Moving up in the world.
Well, the rest of the building has had it since September. They have avoided giving it to morning. But what they are in for. So you can text us at 951-1620.
We'll open up our flip phones and see what we get.
Boston Bruins Steve, who Boston Bruins are having an amazing season.
Great name,
Just
by the
an
way.
unbelievable season. He said, Nick, that Jim Flowers still provides forecasts on Facebook.
Does he?
He's calling for 7 inches after the snow compact.
Yeah.
I went 4.6. I didn't see what Ranby said. They're kind of in the 6 to 10 range. But Jim Flowers still does on Facebook. All right.
How about that?
Yeah.
We're going to get poked by Mother Nature.
Oh.
Facebook poked.
If you knew one of the stories that surrounded.
He's got all of his weather models up.
Okay.
Good on him for staying in the weather business.
It's a passion. It's a passion. So not 2 to 22 then.
Now that he's still doing, I wonder if I can get a picture. I have a Jim Flowers T-shirt.
Just a T-shirt that has his face on it, or does it say like Jim said it would?
Nope. It's just Jim Flowers' face. So if I wear it anywhere outside of here, nobody knows who that is.
I feel like there has to be a story behind this.
I was just
a
birthed out of a discussion many years ago about Jim Flowers on air, and somebody sent me a T-shirt that has his face. I wore it to Hy-Vee once, and I got hollered at by an older lady.
Like hollered, like, hey, love the shirt, or like you got scolded?
I got scolded.
Really?
Yeah, she thought I was making fun of Jim Flowers. I said, what if I was just a big fan of meteorologists? What if, like, the day before, I was wearing a T-shirt of Tom Bavacqua?
I'm glad you went Bavacqua.
Well,
because, anybody can go like Ranby and,
old
you know.
school.
Yeah. Well, Tom Bavacqua, Ken Shimmick.
My mind went to Kurt Bavacqua.
I don't know Kurt Bavacqua.
Played for the Padres.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Part of the 84 NL pennant winning team.
Is he in
Ken
relationship,
Shimmick's
Tom?
still working at 10-11.
Is he really?
Oh, jeez.
How many years has he been there?
He is a stalwart.
It's got to be. Is he
I wanna
approaching the third decade?
So he was there when I first moved to Lincoln. So we're looking at 25 years.
Good for you, Ken. People love them.
Oh, meteorologists can be some of the most popular people because they get they get a chunk of time where it's just them and the viewer.
Look at Phil Connors.
And I got the personality as well.
Phil Connors, one of the greats. One of the greats.
I think Ken Shimmick might. I think he might be at 40 years at 10-11.
That's impressive.
And he's still churning it out at 10 o'clock. Well, I remember his wife, Deb, she used to be the anchor.
Mm-hmm.
So just like here in Omaha, where you have Bill and Julie, you had Deb and Ken were on 10-11. And then Deb went to, she was a spokesperson for the State Patrol, and she may out and be retired, be at home. They were great together. They were great for that
one of
station.
them ought to. One of them deserves it. Man.
That's true, though, how long he's been there. My wife said she grew up watching him, so yeah.
Your wife grew up watching Dick Janda as well, doing
Dick
sports.
Janda.
I'll have to ask when I get home.
Dick and the late, Dick and Jeff Schmall were a heck of a combo.
Mm-hmm. Dick Janda, the first time I met him, like I just knew of him, but I just remember him talking to me like, "Oh yeah, listen, you call this game," and I mean, like I was maybe 22 years old at the time, and just talking to me like he knew me for years. Like
you're on cloud.
Like, wow, yeah. He's just
It's once you get to the number one chair as a meteorologist, you got a pretty good life. Like around here we see, like people that are meteorologists that are not like the chief meteorologist. They'll cycle through and then they'll get their big break and they go somewhere else. And they're like, you watch television news and you won't see a reporter for a while and it won't really dawn on you. But like weather people, when you don't see them, they're like, okay, where did they go? But I think if you're the chief meteorologist, and you got a good gig in this town, you could stay for a long time.
That and
as long as your Q rating is good.
You know what else? I always wish I went back. I wish I was a PE teacher. Get a coach, make a little extra jack on the side, and who's giving up that gig? Your lesson plan every day, activities,
do stuff.
Especially if you're a coach, especially if you want to coach a sport or two sports, if you want. Like that gig, I'm sorry. And I get it. Teachers deserve to make more. They should make more. I have no problem saying it. I have a lot of friends that are teachers, but that's a gig. And I've been told that's one that is not typically available. High school PE teachers, not typically available because once you have it and you're kind of established, especially if you're coaching, why would you give it up? You're not going to give that up. Your summer's off. You can coach baseball if you want, or you don't have to do anything.
Learned that from Mark Shoup.
I love it.
Summer school.
Oh.
Mr. Shoup.
Yep.
Wow.
That's going way back.
That is random.
That's where I learned summer's big deal.
While you were sleeping last night, there was, how about what happened at the Australian Open?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. I just, I don't get into tennis. This is what you're going to learn.
Oh, huge news.
Yeah.
Rafa, the defending champ, is out.
Got eliminated.
I know that's a big deal.
Yeah.
You don't got alerts on your phone?
No, I saw
major.
I saw that news story this morning. I'm like, okay,
because it just started, right? So that would mean he was upset.
Yeah, he got beat by an American.
Yeah,
Mackie McDonald. Nobody knows unless you were following UCLA tennis.
I saw that he got eliminated, and I thought, oh, okay. But I feel like
he's the defending champ. He has a bad hip, which watching about 35 minutes of it this morning, it was amazing that he kept going. He didn't want to retire, or basically, I mean, he gutted it out. But all of a sudden, the Australian Open has, the field on the men's side is a little bit light.
How old is Rafa now?
Late 30s.
Okay.
Mid 30s.
I thought mid. I thought maybe 36.
They're all chasing the GOAT standard.
I just thought 36. But yeah, I mean, tennis, whether we're talking Wimbledon, Australian Open, French Open.
That's just a big story. I mean, it's one of the top stories in sports today. Just saying, it was a major upset. Good for American tennis, but what will Mackie
not good for the tennis game?
Mackie McDonald do? See, I like late night sports or early morning when on our schedule you wake up. Like the Open is fantastic.
I can't wait. Can't wait to come rolling in here in the 5 o'clock hour and already see some golf going on.
mean, during the COVID era, the time period when sports were all over the place, we'd get, NBA basketball at 9 in the morning. It was fantastic.
The days of the pod. What was that? Yeah, I'm trying to think what else. What was the first thing to come back? It was golf, I think. I think it was the Charles Schwab Challenge. I think that was like the first sporting event to come back, other than state basketball here in Nebraska. That was more on the end of okay, well, we got to finish out the cycle.
Yeah, that was
now we're going on a lull.
Well, they played through it because I was there the day that everything started to shut down, and they played through it to the state final, the state championship. They got it in.
I remember this.
Basically, after that, everything
It made
was
Sports
shut
Center.
down. Yeah.
The championship game made Sports Center.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, 42 past the hour. Again, hoops tonight in Lincoln, Ohio State and Nebraska. Busy night last night in basketball. Creighton picks up a healthy victory against Butler. Now they're off for a week. But it was another night where the Big 12 reminded everybody that they are the best conference in America. And the team that's over in Central Iowa, hello, they are a beast. Iowa State basketball.
Hilton was rocking.
They hired the right guy.
Mm-hmm.
They hired the right guy, and they won last night against Texas. And south of here, I think they are still partying in Aggieville. We'll get into all that. Scott Chanley a little bit later, Brandon Vogel as well on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. For the Jays, the Huskers, and even you Jayskers, we are 1620 The Zone.
Dust. It's in the living room, the bedroom, and the bathroom. It's also in your lungs. Let's fix that, shall we? Duct Defense Midwest offers a comprehensive system that cleans, disinfects, filters, and purifies the air. They'll make your home healthier and improve the life of your HVAC system. So improve the health of your home and everyone in it. Go to cleanairradio.com right now for a special air duct cleaning offer for Zone listeners. Cleanairradio.com.
Buy your next vehicle your way from anywhere with Woodhouse. Start your journey online at woodhouse.com. Easily shop all new and pre-owned inventory. Explore payment options and apply for financing. Ready to purchase? Schedule your new vehicle for pickup from the dealership or have it delivered to your driveway. Need a little extra help in determining your perfect vehicle? Our knowledgeable and local dealerships can guide you to the vehicle that best matches your needs. Experience car buying your way with Woodhouse, a trusted auto partner since 1975.
Hey everyone, Josh Peterson here for my friends at Kugler Vision. A new year means it's time for a new you. 5 years ago, I was in that exact spot and I was ready to ditch the glasses for good. I scheduled a consultation with Dr. Kugler and his team at Kugler Vision and figured out which of the procedures would work best for me. You can do the same today. Go to the website, KuglerVision.com, and also check out their special New Year savings on modern LASIK. That's KuglerVision.com.
At Staples, you can count on every project being print perfect, guaranteed.
I need presentations and brochures printed, and they have to be perfect.
Your bounded presentations, brochures with the finest folds, and more will be done right every time. That's our Print Big promise. Now at Staples, get $10 off your document printing and marketing materials order of $50 or more, plus 20% back by a store bonus. Try Staples and see the difference. Ends 2/11. Rewards members only. Bonus must be redeemed in store. See staples.com/stores/printbig for details.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Welcome to the After Hours Lounge on 1620 The Zone.
The head Maverick, Chris Crutchfield, is going to join us.
I was so happy with those guys because they hadn't won a road game in almost 2 years. I'm proud of what our guys did. We continued to fight throughout the game. It was a two-possession game, and that's the biggest thing with our guys right now, just continue to compete.
Catch After Hours 6 to 8, Monday through Friday, or as the sports schedule allows. Brought to you by Payne West on 1620 The Zone.
Thank you to everyone who voted for MD West One in the Best of Omaha contest. We are thrilled to announce MD West One has been named the #1 private medical practice in Omaha for 4 years in a row. MD West One is also named first place in the orthopedic surgery and neurosurgical spine surgery. Our 34 board certified surgeons specialize in treating every bone, joint, or muscle condition from head to toe. Go to mdwest1.com to meet the #1 place to go for orthopedic, neurosurgery, and spine.
In support of the Creighton versus Cancer Pinkout game, 1620 The Zone will be on location Friday, January 27th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the American Cancer Society's Hope Lodge, Nebraska. Stop by and drop off a donation of paper products, gift cards, or cash to support cancer patients staying at the Hope Lodge, a free home away from home for cancer patients and caregivers who must travel to Omaha for their life-saving treatment. For details, listen to 1620 The Zone and visit cancer.org/pinkout.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back in. Mornings with Sharp and Handley on a Wednesday, the 18th of January. Chance to win $100 in my booty coming up in the next hour. We'll have the stat of the day here momentarily. I'm very excited. We are on the texting machine. They are going to regret this by the end of the week. We have, snow is on the way here. They're 4 to 7 on Channel 6. Todd says, good morning. Roving reporter in Fort Myers. Shout out to the 239. Listen to you every morning. Thanks for all you do. And we'll be shoveling 4 to 6 inches of sunshine here today.
That's mean.
Be safe out there.
I can't. I mean,
you can't have more than that? More sunshine? Only 4 points. Come on.
I've been there. So
low 70s today, maybe?
You know what? I did not look at the weather forecast. I do know that
a little cool.
If you are in the area of Hammond Stadium, there are some high-level Twins players that will be working out later today. You can thank me later. D in Northwest Arkansas, when Tom Bavacqua was first entering the Omaha market, they introduced him by doing on-the-street interview commercials and asking people, what's a Bavacqua? That is a great promo.
That is.
I wonder if I can find video of that because I want to see what the response is.
What year would that be? I wonder if we need that narrowed down. That's good. That would be really good. What's a Bavacqua? He was a legend. He was a local. It would have been Bavacqua. I think Jim Flowers was around at that time.
Well, they had
trying to remember the crew.
At Channel 6, they had Gary Kerr.
Gary Kerr.
Pat
there
Prasad.
You go. Yes. Pat Prasad. Yeah. Very good.
Jim Flowers was Dave Weber doing sports.
Yeah. Nicely was starting out.
He was at KTV.
KTV. Yeah, he'd do the so when I was young, third grader, do you remember the I Challenge John segment that he would do?
I do not. I was not. We did not get my only introduction to Omaha TV before I moved here was we got Channel 7.
Okay.
In Lincoln. I think we got Channel 6 as well.
Yeah. He would he would take on all challengers for whatever, whether it's bowling, any type of sports, any type of activity. And me and a buddy played him 2-on-1. Nicely can hoop. He's got a jumper.
What is John Nicely? 70s? Late 60s?
I bet it's in the 60s, yeah.
And he's still showing up every day.
Yeah. Nicely, man. I don't know if the jump shot's still there, but he could hoop. He could hoop. He took us down. 2 of us. Yeah, we wasn't very good either, though.
All right, the stat of the day for the next hour for you to win $100. So the portal is closing. Today is the last day. If you'd like to leave, this is your chance to leave. If you'd like to find a home, it's your chance to find a home before
Don't encourage it.
Tristan Gebbia has had quite the interesting football life. If you think about when we were all first introduced to Tristan Gebbia in Calabasas and fell in love with him and that whole crew of players, like I remember sifting through his high school film. You're like, this is unbelievable. And then who he was throwing to, who was on his team, that whole crew that was going to come here. Again, this is a heck of a football life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he came here and got beat out by Adrian Martinez.
Mm-hmm.
And then, his timing of leaving was right before the start of the season. So he departs. He finds a home on the West Coast, and he goes to Oregon State. And he had a nice career at Oregon State, but then he got beat out.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a high star coming out of high school, now on his second place, gets beat out. Now he will play his 7th, and that is the stat of the day, 7, his 7th year in college. I mean, people make fun of me because I was in college for 6 years.
And you weren't a doctor.
No. I mean, why
I don't make fun. I that's envious. That means you had some fun.
Yeah. My GPA didn't have a lot of fun.
That's okay.
But, I had other
gotta
things.
weather the storm.
I was working in radio at the time. I was trying to manage a full-time job
there.
But Tristan Gebbia will now play his 7th year. He is going to Ohio State. So Ohio State has to replace C.J. Stroud and Kyle McCord, who was also I think Kyle McCord in high school was a 5-star, and he's been a backup to Stroud for
2 years.
So he should be the guy. And now Tristan Gebbia will have Ohio State on his resume.
Yeah.
Good on him. I mean, he's got an opportunity, and it's a no-lose situation for Ohio State if Gebbia comes in and he ends up being like your 3rd-string quarterback. And,
right.
And if you have to get down to that point, I mean, he's serviceable.
He's got experience. Yeah,
he's already played in Power 5 football, but he will get his 7th year to get to play at Ohio State.
I was surprised when I saw the news. I thinking to myself, okay, Ohio State. If you're making that decision, you're going somewhere because you feel like, hey, I'm going to go out with a bang. I'm going to get the best opportunity I can to be on the field and to start. And then I saw Ohio State, and I'm like, am I missing something? Do they have like a mass exodus at quarterback? And all of a sudden they're like in the last couple of hours, they're just desperate. And then when you kind of put it together, it's, hey, this is where I'm going to go to a football factory. I might be needed at some point, going to compete. Got the experience, and let the cards fall where they may. Like, I don't think anybody has any grand illusions of Tristan Gebbia being the new starter for Ohio State in their attempt to try to win a national championship. But it just goes to show you that sometimes these decisions aren't always made because you're going to go right in and start. I mean, clearly that's not the case for Tristan Gebbia here, but it's interesting that you're getting the opportunity to go to Ohio State, that they're a suitor at least, but not for the reasons that you see a lot of this out of the transfer portal. It was very unique to me when I saw that, thinking, wow, okay, well, hey, go get him, buddy. Because I understand where people feel about Tristan Gebbia when you had this sort of the conflicting reports, and not even really conflicting, but how things sort of changed in a 24-hour period here where he got beat out, but by all accounts, took the news really, really well. He was ready to, as they always say, the backup, prepare as if he would be the starter and he would take on that role. And then the following day, backing it up. And you're getting right into the season. It's like, all right, Andrew Bunch, here we go. I know people would look at that and say, hey, that was a chicken blank thing to do. Well, again, you always have to consider, where maybe their thoughts are, where they want to look out for their competitive future. The timing, yes, didn't sit well with me, but it's not like I've just been rooting against Tristan Gebbia from that point on. So, hey, finish strong. Maybe he gets a game. Maybe he gets a snaps. Who knows? But it was weird. It was definitely a surprise.
All right. Stat of the day is 7. When you hear the cue to call next hour, you can win $100. Be the 4th caller on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Live from the Host Coffee Studio. This is 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley, brought to you by MD West 1 Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine on 1620 The Zone.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a significant slowdown from 192nd to 168th on Center. Then along Highway 370, be prepared for a little bit of a slowdown from Richland Drive to 72nd. And on L, things are slowing down just a little bit from 36th to 33rd. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by IBEW Local 22.
Looking for a career, not a job? IBEW has immediate openings for residential electricians. You'll receive top pay, fully funded family health care, and retirement benefits. Invest in yourself with IBEW Local 22. Call Michael at 402-810-0789.
Omaha men's basketball hits Interstate 29. You want to win the Summit, you got to be good on Interstate 29. And the Mavs head to South Dakota to take on South Dakota State at Frost Arena. Difficult place to play in the Summit. Can the Mavs pick up a victory? Well, we'll describe it for you coming up on Thursday night, 6:30 airtime, the pregame show on News Talk 1290 Quail.
You can find pizza anywhere. But when you want pizza pie piled high with more toppings, that's when you come to my place, Godfather's Pizza. For a limited time, get your hands on 2 of my large one-topping pizzas. Pick pepperoni, beef, black olives. You choose. All this food for only $29. Feed your whole mob without breaking the bank. Hey, it's an offer you can't refuse. Godfather's Pizza. Do it.
Here's this week's Maverick Minute. The Omaha Mavericks erupted for 4 goals in the final minutes of Saturday's series finale with Minnesota Duluth to secure a weekend sweep of the Bulldogs. The Mavs will close out their current 6-game homestand next weekend when they welcome the Miami Redhawks to Baxter Arena Friday and Saturday night. And that's your Maverick Minute on your home for the Mavs. News Talk 1290, 1180 The Zone, and 1620 The Zone.
Join up, join in. It's time to make good on those New Year's fitness resolutions by becoming a member at Croc Center Omaha. There you'll find a full range of fitness activities, from free weights to Zumba classes to an indoor track, pickleball, and more. Join now and save. We'll waive the fees, plus you'll get 1 month free with an annual paid in full or auto pay membership. The Croc Center is just moments away from the Kennedy Freeway and Q Street. Go to omahacroc.org for more information. That's omahakroc.org.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
Give your business a whole host of options with Host Coffee. The most impressive selection of office coffee, water options, healthy food options, and vending technologies. Host Coffee, serving you since 72. Be a part of the Host Coffee team today. If you'd like to work for a trusted and loyal family-owned company that understands the needs of working families, Host Coffee has your opportunity. Apply at hostcoffee.net.
It's the lowest month-to-month rate of the year with no contract and no enrollment fees at Genesis Health Clubs. It won't get any lower than this, and enrollment fees are waived to celebrate 2023. This offer has been extended for a limited time. Hi, I'm Rodney Stephen. It's the new year, and you have set your New Year's resolutions, right? Well, it's time to go. I have good news and bad news for you. The bad news is, if you don't get started, your New Year's resolutions won't happen, and you'll be in the same place next year. You have to take that first step and build habits that will change your life forever. One of my favorite quotes is, if it is to be, it is up to me. And that is absolutely true. And we know you can do it. We'll help you every step of the way. We help hundreds of thousands of people reach their fitness goals each year. And what about you this year? Join Genesis Health Clubs for our lowest month-to-month rate that we'll offer in all of 2023. Plus, no enrollment fees and no contracts. Offer extended. Act now. It will not get any better than this. Join at GenesisHealthClubs.com now because this special won't last. This offer has been extended for a limited time.
Hey everyone, Josh Peterson here for my friends at Kugler Vision. A new year means it's time for a new you. 5 years ago, I was in that exact spot and I was ready to ditch the glasses for good. I scheduled a consultation with Dr. Kugler and his team at Kugler Vision and figured out which of the procedures would work best for me. You can do the same today. Go to the website, KuglerVision.com, and also check out their special New Year savings on modern LASIK. That's KuglerVision.com.
Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Nick, Jimmy, and Gary here on a day where a lot of you are at home. If you have kids, school throughout the metro has been canceled. I think this canceled period. I didn't hear a lot of remote learning days. So kids anticipate the snow. This could be a good snow for sledding as well. But 3 to 7, 6 to 10, whatever is forecast. I said 4.6 is on the way. Should start here before the morning is over. Keep you updated on all the travel out there, but be safe, be smart, and enjoy firing up that snowblower for the first time in about a year. Maybe for some longer than that.
So instead of picking games and spreads, we should just go snowfall totals today.
I was going to say, if we're keeping receipts on your prediction, do we go with the Omaha Epley snow total?
Yes, that has to be the official weather total.
Yeah, when
I say
from the airport.
4.6. I'm getting a sense though, watching morning weather, I might be a little bit low.
Shooting low.
I'm trying to keep everybody happy.
No, I'm all about the Gary Sharp.
I'd be good. 4.6 falls, and by Friday it's all gone.
Yeah,
but that's probably not going to happen.
No. Just get cold after that.
Coming up a little bit later, it's our weekly NFL segment. Scott Shanley will stop by. We got Brandon Vogel as well, but we have JC to kick off the hour. You have to pop him up, Jimmy. Good morning, JC. Thanks for the call.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I had a comment about Jebbia. I heard you guys talking about him earlier. It reminds me of the Scott Frost era when it first started. I always thought that Frost should have played Jebbia for the first 4 games and then decided who the starter should be. I didn't think that Martinez was ready just from the fact that he hadn't played. He didn't play his senior year of high school, and you're going to throw him right into the Big Ten as a true freshman. So when Jebbia left, I didn't blame him because he was a redshirt freshman. He put the work in. I don't want to say he earned the starting job, but I mean he put the work in the program, and he I don't think he was given a chance by Frost. I think Frost just said we're just going to play Martinez, and he's going to be my guy. And because remember Frost was riding high. I mean he was coming off an unbelievable season at Central Florida, undefeated. He beat Auburn in the bowl game. It seemed like everything that Frost touched back then was gold. So. When Frost picked him to be the quarterback, I'm pretty sure Jebbia saw the writing on the wall. But if you remember, I don't know if I think the rule's still the same. If you play 4 games, you preserve your red shirt. So Jebbia could have played the first 4 games, preserved his red shirt if he wanted to leave, and then we could have plugged Martinez in right there, which I think would have been the smart thing to do. So what happened was what's happening nowadays when it comes to the transfer portal. If you bring in, if you bring in somebody and then somebody else leaves and that person doesn't pan out, then you just lost your depth. And that's exactly what happened in Nebraska. We lost our depth at quarterback and Martinez took a pounding. He never won 3 games in a row. And as far as him going to Kansas State, they were a better team with their other quarterback. I think his name's Johnson.
Will Howard?
Johnson, I think.
Will Howard.
Will Howard.
Yeah.
Yeah, Will Howard. So, but regardless, I mean, I'm just saying, I think the Frost era got off on a bad foot because of the quarterback situation. Whether or not Martinez or Gebbia was better, whoever earned it, the end result was we lost our quarterback depth, and we struggled from then on. Do you remember what was his name? Andrew Bunch?
Yep. Started against Troy.
Yeah, and that's just because we lost our depth. So Frost really hamstrung himself right out the gate.
JC, thanks for the phone call.
Thanks.
I think so. Scott gets hired, and what's the first thing they do? Him and Verduzco are out in California. They recruit Martinez. So Martinez is their guy. And I think Tristan would tell you that he had a good spring, but he didn't feel like he got a fair shot, or he didn't have the sense that his spring was going to equate to him possibly being the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't have – now, when they got to fall camp, his fall camp wasn't great, and Martinez had better days than Tristan Gebbia. And I think Gebbia, he was recruited by Mike Riley.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't super comfortable with the way things were handled because if you look at the announcement, they didn't announce it until the Saturday night when they have the students are able to come to practice.
Yeah.
And they, and that's kind of just for the students. And everybody was speculating on who's going to be the starting quarterback because everybody at the time still thought that it was Martinez or Gebbia. And Frost tells the students that it's going to be Martinez. Gebbia had just been told that Adrian was going to start, did not take it so well. That Monday, he withdraws from class. That becomes well known that Gebbia is gone. Frost is a really awkward next day. He's asked about it because earlier in the day, or the day before, when they were talking, when everybody was, because everybody was excited for Adrian. Okay, here's the guy you went out and got. He's the hot shot quarterback. He's your guy. You can do no wrong.
Mm-hmm.
He's been here since the spring. Gebbia, you know what? He redshirted the year before.
He's a carryover.
Didn't know what
from
he was
going to
do. So everybody was excited about Martinez. And I remember Scott on that Monday, he was like, well, we hope, we care for everybody. We hope everybody stays. And while he was speaking, Gebbia was getting out of his classes and was ready to leave Lincoln. And then the next day, I think it was Nate Klaus that first brought it up, or he first reported it. It spread like wildfire that Gebbia was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the heels of that, remember what else they were doing? They were trying to get a waiver for Noah Vedral to be eligible.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's the whole turn of like again, go back and look at the Tristan Gebbia football life from his time in high school, where we all got introduced to him and went, oh my God, this guy is the second coming. So he comes here, and I think in his mind, he thought he was going to play right away.
Mm-hmm.
But then who shows up in 17? Tanner Lee is a transfer from Tulane. Oh, by the way, Patrick O'Brien is here as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, later in life, Patrick O'Brien and Tristan Gebbia would be on opposite sidelines in the Pac-12. O'Brien went to Washington. Gebbia, of course, went to Oregon State. So I don't know. Good he gets to continue playing his career. There is nothing bad about the dude. He was a 3-time captain at Oregon State. He threw, 250 passes maybe in his career at Oregon State. And he gets a spot to go. They have 4 scholarship quarterbacks in Columbus. He puts that on his resume. Mm-hmm. Who knows what it leads to? Would anybody be surprised if Tristan Gebbia is a GA at Ohio State next year? I mean, so good for him. He got the opportunity. Ohio State said, we don't have a lot of depth in our quarterback room. Come on, we'll give you an opportunity. And it's not like he's going to be the starter and he's going to ruin Ohio State. But go back and look. He's had quite the career. And another addition to JC's point is, so Gebbia leaves. So you have Martinez, who his first game eliminated, and then he plays against Colorado and, of course, gets hurt. Mm-hmm. And then you have to transition to Bunch because it was Martinez, Gebbia, and Bunch going into the 18th season.
Yeah.
Eliminate the middle guy. Then you're forced to Andrew Bunch to start a football game because Adrian Martinez goes down. I just think Gebbia was not comfortable with the way it was all handled. We don't know the backstory of what he was told or how it was communicated to him, and he didn't feel comfortable. And immediately left to go find a different place.
Yeah, I think there was, and correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't there a moment after we had heard the official announcement that Adrian Martinez was going to start that Scott Frost, or at least somebody, maybe it was Verduzco, one of the members of the coaching staff had indicated that, yeah, boy, Tristan took it like a pro. Like, I mean, we were impressed with that. But then within 24 hours, as you mentioned, you're like, actually, you're starting to kind of hear something to the contrary of it didn't really go well. I think for Tristan, regardless of the game one against Akron that never happened, he knew that whether he was going to get maybe a shot because Adrian got hurt or something like that, he just knew he wasn't going to be a part of the long-term plan. And I think everybody could see that writing on the wall. I think to JC's point is if you start Jebbia, you bring along Adrian. I was kind of in that camp as we were getting into fall that, yeah, I just feel like you're going to roll with Jebbia, allow Adrian to learn a little bit, and then maybe by midseason he is the starter. But if that was also maybe relayed to Tristan Jebbia, or if that was maybe a potential plan, again, if you're a guy that's looking to kind of get your opportunity, but you kind of see the writing on the wall that you're not going to be the long-term solution, you're not going to be the long-term plan at the position. Yeah, I understand that. Like, I get where maybe that communication isn't exactly what you wanted to hear. You felt like you had paid your dues and did enough to put yourself in that position. And not for one moment am I saying, boy, Tristan got a real raw deal. I've always been just really curious, kind of to what you alluded to, how that was communicated, what he was being told, and then ultimately how that sort of worked out for him. But again, it's amazing, 7 years now, and he's going to wrap things up at Ohio State. Again, good for him, and maybe, coaching in the future, we'll see.
And at that point, I mean, Adrian Martinez no one was going to deny that Adrian was the guy and start the Adrian Martinez era.
Right.
I mean, look at his first game against Colorado. There's a pass to J.D. Spielman where I went, whoa, haven't seen that around here in a while.
When he was just taking off and just as big, and the dude was just a specimen. And he's a true freshman.
So you can play the game here of quarterbacks over the last 5 to 6 years that started in Nebraska that ended up somewhere else.
Yeah.
O'Brien was at 3 different schools.
Yep.
Jebbia is going to be at 3 different schools.
Yep.
Johnny Stanton left here.
Now fullback.
Goes to the NFL and plays
fullback.
Fullback.
Where we love a fullback.
Adrian Martinez goes to 2 schools.
Yep. You know what? It's not just a Nebraska thing, though, too.
Oh, well, look at Nebraska. Nebraska's got Casey Thompson. They got Jeff Sims.
Yep.
They got Chuba Purdy.
Yeah.
Welcome to the world of the quarterback. And again, today is the last day of the portal. So it shuts down until May. But the enormous amount of quarterbacks that are in the portal.
Yeah.
But it tells you that you've got to recruit a quarterback every year. And you know what? If somehow you can convince 2 quarterbacks to come, that's great. And because Nebraska has 6 quarterbacks in their room right now, they're not going to have 6 quarterbacks at the end of spring.
No.
I mean, Nebraska has more scholarship quarterbacks currently than Ohio State has. But you have to plan. This is how we would approach it. And Nebraska is going to be in an intriguing situation this year because you have the guy that is sitting here in Casey Thompson, and then you bring in Jeff Sims. I keep bringing this up every week. Have you chose your fighter? Because it's going to be I'm a Sims guy or I'm a Thompson guy. And right now, the pendulum is swinging towards Jeff Sims because, Casey's not going to be able to go through spring.
Right.
I'm telling you, Casey isn't just going to walk away. That's great for the program that you're going to have 2 guys that are going to get after it. But don't you sense if you just walked into the room and you knew that Casey Thompson was the starter last year, but you know that the new staff brought a guy here that a lot of services are saying that is an A addition. Don't you think Jeff Sims is the starter? On January 18th, the general vibe is that Jeff Sims is the starter, right?
I think it's more likely than not, yeah.
So it's an interesting dynamic for Nebraska because they're going to have 2 guys that are transfers that are fighting for the job. That one was the starter, I think still strongly feels that he is the starter, and another guy that probably thinks that he was brought here because he has to fix because the quarterback position wasn't good last year, and they're going to have a great competition there.
Well, that's what Casey was a year ago.
So it's
to solve that.
So the quarterback position in college is always evolving, but I think you got to identify your main guy, get old, stay old, that hotshot newcomer that is either going to take the job early or he's going to develop, and then maybe you get 2-3 years out of him.
Mm-hmm.
And then every program needs an Easton Stick or a Cole Payton.
Yeah.
2 guys, both played quarterback in this town in high school, that are really good at the craft, and they want to be a team guy, and they're going to work to eventually start, but they're not going to upset things, and you never have to worry that they're going to bolt, that they're going to hang in there, because they know if they work hard, their opportunity is going to come. And we know in a lot of places, there's going to be at least 2 guys that start a football game at that position. That's how I would build my quarterback room. And then, I would always have at least 4 scholarship quarterbacks every year. And then if you could get a transfer or 2 or a walk-on or 2, so you have 6 quarterbacks when you're going through spring, when you're going through practice. But Nebraska's quarterback room, the way it's built right now, because of the addition with Jeff Sims and the people that are left over, going to be interesting to watch during the spring of who grabs that number 3, that supposed number 3 spot on the depth chart.
Yeah.
Because 1 or 2 have already been spoken for,
Mm-hmm.
and one of those guys isn't going to go through spring fully healthy.
Right. You said Cole Payton and you said Easton Stick. We just saw it in the national championship. And I don't want people to say for Stetson Bennett. Stetson Bennett, not the way that he finished his career, but where Stetson Bennett got his start. You get those types of guys. Hungry, maybe where they lack, elite skill. They make up for it because, as you talk about the craft of playing the position, the one that the team loves, because they're just putting themselves in the position of, we're going to be here, going to continue to work, put myself in a position that when my number's called, I'm going to make the most of that opportunity, and we'll see where it goes from there. Like Stetson Bennett no one's confusing him with C.J. Stroud or Caleb Williams. But he just happened to win back-to-back national championships, and now he's being talked about at the next level. 2 years ago, was he being talked about like that? No, not at all. Now he's being talked about as a quarterback that could be drafted. So those cases exist. Absolutely they do.
A little bit later, Brandon Vogel from Hale Varsity will join us. Nebraska and the recruiting operation that they have built and are continuing to churn. They were very active in Omaha yesterday. Matt Campbell was in town yesterday, Iowa State head coach.
Should have stopped by.
Here?
Yeah, why not? We had coaches on yesterday. Great segment. Just add another one.
Huh?
We had the soccer coach on yesterday. He was
okay.
awesome. Just have Matt Campbell come on and we'll just make it a show.
Guys, did you do a bonus hour where I wasn't involved as far as football coaches? The other football coaches.
So it doesn't seem like Ed Foley, who's a very happy guy, who does not, I found out, live in a van down by the river, or has not been a motivational speaker in his lifetime. But people that are interacting with him, they just say he's a very cheery guy. He's very happy all the time.
Yeah.
He appears to be the guy that they have unleashed in the state of Nebraska to go everywhere. Okay. We talked about last week when he went out and visited the Fultzes.
Yeah.
Okay. He went out to Central Nebraska. Was that Thursday? Because they were able to start recruiting on Friday. So he's kind of making the rounds. I noticed he was at Omaha Bryan. Good on Nebraska for going to Omaha Bryan. That's a program that they want to take football seriously. They have some number of issues, but they have good people in the program, and they have a couple of players that are intriguing. But I imagine that nobody stopped at Omaha Bryan in a long time. And then I noticed they went to Westview. So good on him for making rounds at places that don't have a Big Ten player on the roster. But then he branched out when he went to Blair. He went to Takema Herman. So they've unleashed like Ed Foley to make the state rounds. And then for the guys that they have their eye on, then come the heavy hitters that come in. So Ed Foley is like he's the guy that gets you excited. And he shows up and introduces himself and tells you about the plan.
Building relationships.
But he did stop by yesterday at Omaha Central. So Omaha Central football, which I don't think they have a head coach. I have not heard. So Jay Landstrom, who had been the head coach for 5 years, and Jay's a great guy, listens to our show. Always, he's been fantastic to me in our Thursday and Friday night games and working with him and his staff. But after this year, Jay stepped down. I mean, it's been tough for Omaha Central. The COVID sit-out year was not good to them. So after the end of the season, he stepped down. I don't know that they've hired a football coach at Central. I've not heard, which crazy to think that Omaha Central does. There has not been, because I imagine that job's been posted since mid-November, that they do not have a football coach. Now, I could be wrong. I've not heard that, but I don't think they have a football coach because people are wondering why Nebraska hasn't been to Central. So Caleb Pyfrom, who is the big offensive lineman, who really just burst onto the scene. Okay, I remember Jay talking about him last year, and then we did Central and North, and watching film, he definitely stands out just because of his size. And you can see that he's got he kind of still a little bit raw, but the hand placement, there's enough to work with that you could be like, okay, here's a guy that can make the next jump. So we had him against North, and it was kind of a lopsided game, so he didn't really stand out. But watching him go through warmups and their drills, I'm like, this guy's going to be a Power 5 offensive lineman. It's just going to take some time for him to get that one offer, and then there's going to be that are going to be trickle in, and you have enough offensive line schools around this area, they're going to find their way to Omaha Central. And so Nebraska made him an offer, but it didn't feel like they were all in. It still, to me, feels like there's a hesitation with even the new staff on recruiting him. I know that he has mentioned to a couple of the Nebraska recruiting writers that Iowa is probably the program that has shown the most interest.
Always a good sign, I guess.
But it just seems like Nebraska's attention towards him has been a little bit slow, and maybe it's been Central doesn't have a football coach.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how that works. When a coach goes to a school,
and
who they talk to,
the head coach, they talked to him yesterday, and they talked to
the athletic director or the activities director. Is that who you talked to?
I don't know.
Because, I was just double checking to see if anything kind of slipped through the cracks. No.
How many 6'5", 300 pounds? You got a 6'5", 300-pound offensive lineman in Omaha. He deserves that. I mean, you got to kick the tires and see if that's the guy in a program which, you can never say no to offensive linemen.
Right.
I just think maybe the little bit of the slow play is Central doesn't have a football coach.
It's understandable.
But it just seems like from Frost to Mickey to this staff, it hasn't been for a guy that's getting Power 5 offers and some good Power 5 offers. It seems like the in-state school has been a little bit slow on developing a huge part of attention towards him.
I'm bummed I missed Ed Foley at Westview. That's where my Y is,
While we're at it,
it's right there in the front of the
invite
high
him
school.
here too.
Yeah, I didn't see Ed on the elliptical or anything, but I would have bellied up with him. Hey, buddy, want to go 2 miles? No.
Building that relationship.
But the Westview thing is interesting though, because obviously that's a relationship builder. That's not because it's just freshman and sophomore there, right? Yeah. So you're
introducing yourself,
right? So hey, let's keep the lines of communication open, which is something that it's funny when you think of the overall age of this coaching staff, that you're sending out the seasoned gristled veteran to kind of be your energy guy around the state of Nebraska. Now, not as much travel beyond the state, maybe, but I find that interesting when you got a lot of young, hungry guys that you're actually sending Ed Foley out to all these spots here in Nebraska, where you would think that having that sort of, even though he's probably not familiar to a lot of these high school coaches, at least as of now, probably gives off that vibe of, hey, this is sort of a familiar feel type of guy, a guy that has been around, who's coached in so many different levels and positions, and has that experience. Like when you think about it, it makes probably the best sense to have that type of player coach on your staff to kind of be your in-state ambassador, representative, if you will. Like
it's the Barrett Ruud role,
right?
Yeah. Barrett Ruud played that role, and more often than not, when Barrett Ruud walked into your office as a football coach in the state of Nebraska, Barrett, maybe even knew his dad, his brother, so of him. But then also when he was coming to recruit your top players, it was also Barrett. See, I like Nebraska's approach in state. If Ed Foley is the guy to make the first introduction and get it known that, hey, we're here for you guys. Anything you need. I know that maybe you're not sending a guy to Nebraska every year, but if you ever get a guy, but we just want you to know that we care about you and we're out here and we're going to be in the hallways and, you come to Lincoln, we want you to bring your team to camp, all of that kind of stuff. That's good. And then they turn around and the prospects that they have pegged as a priority, then the big hitters come in, then the OC shows up, then the DC shows up.
Yeah, they get Evan Cooper.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way to approach it, because I think some prospects, when I ask kids that have left here how they felt they were recruited, they felt like they were taken for granted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just because they're here.
Barrett Ruud, great guy. Okay. Barrett Ruud, loved talking football. Barrett Ruud, to me as a player, and I'm paraphrasing somebody who was here and went somewhere else, is okay, didn't move the needle so much for me. If they would have brought my position coach in, for example, if Barrett is the introduction and he's my point of contact from Nebraska and he's an in-state guy and he understands the state, okay, because I respect Barrett.
Yeah.
Barrett's a nice guy. But, man, if you want to move the needle, bring Travis Fisher in, because I'm a defensive back. And, man, now we're cooking with peanut oil because T-Fish is recruiting in the state of Nebraska where, for the most part, in his 5 years here, they sent him to the South, where that was his strength. So I like the twofold process of recruiting in state that it appears that Nebraska is setting the groundwork in how they're going to approach prospects in this state that they really want. We're going to contact everybody. We're going to introduce ourselves. We're going to get to know you. But if you're a player that we want, the big boys are coming in, make room for them.
And that makes total sense. And
I don't think a guy like Ed Foley's like, I know what my job is.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not the closer.
Yeah.
I'm
the tone setter.
Your position coach or your coordinator. They're the closer.
Yeah, I'm the tone setter. And, from the example you used with, a player being introduced to Barrett Ruud, you're talking to Barrett Ruud, and it's great. But I feel like at some point you're gauging how serious you are with me by who else follows. And if it never does, you just have basically the in-state point of contact coach, and it doesn't go any further, unless you're a linebacker, obviously. But it doesn't go any further than that. Yeah, I can understand, okay, my position guy, my OC, the DC can't actually make the time to maybe show me the love. Yeah, that right there would speak volumes, I think. I don't think that's a recruit, maybe try to get ahead of its skis or trying to want too much. It's unreasonable. I think that's very reasonable. And so we'll see if this staff kind of continues to go that route, because I think that is the way to go right now.
All right. Stat of the day coming up here in a little bit. Your chance to win $100. Also, speaking of Jebby at Ohio State basketball tonight in Lincoln. The game will be played 6 o'clock tonight. Who will be and won't be playing for Nebraska, and what is a pretty important game for both teams. We'll get into that as we roll towards 10. Scott Shanley, Brandon Vogel will stop by as well on this Wednesday edition of Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Speaking of that Nebraska-Ohio State game, great place to watch the game tonight. And every night is a DJ's Dugout with 7 metro locations. There's a DJ's right next to you. And you know what? If you get snowed in, hey, there's a lot worse places to be. You're going to have some Super Bowl nachos, a nice ice-cold tall beer, and, of course, enjoying the Blue Jays with the Blue Jay Lemonade. And also don't forget to check out downtown 10th and Capitol DJ's location, where you and your company's great office building opportunities to take a look at the golf simulator. That's right. You can have the golf simulator, whether it is team building or you just want to get the wrenches out, do some swinging during the winter months. You can take a look at that at 10th and Capitol downtown, the new golf simulator. Great party packages are available as well. And, of course, the huge selection of delicious appetizers, food, and drinks that your team will love. DJ's Dugout, again, is locally in Vietnam, veteran-owned. Stop by one of 7 metro area locations, #1 sports bar in Omaha. Dig in at the Dugout.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. The Connor Happer Show.
There's no one in the history of sport
who loves to hit you with a video of himself chopping wood at 4:30 in the morning more than Justin James Watt. And he wants you to know about it because you're lazy and he's the hardest worker in the room. I say, if we're going to be okay with putting mediocre players in the Hall of Fame, then sure, what better place to start than J.J. Watt? Wow.
The Connor Happer Show, weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Winter storm warning in effect Wednesday. Expect a light wintry mix and snow to move into the metro between 9 and 11 a.m., then changing over to heavy wet snow in the afternoon with temperatures in the lower 30s. Road conditions deteriorate throughout the day as heavy snow persists through the evening drive. Heavy snow becomes light overnight, then will wrap up by early Thursday morning. 6 to 10 inches possible in the metro. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley, brought to you by MD West 1 Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine on 1620 The Zone.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a bit of a slowdown from 180th to 165th along Center. Then on Dodge, be prepared for a little bit of slowdown from 80th to 72nd. And other than that, it looks like your commute this morning should be pretty smooth, even if you're running a bit late. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This Time-Saving Traffic was brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
The Nebraska Lottery has raised over $908 million, which has helped to provide more than 117,000 college scholarships, save wildlife habitats across the state, and fund new facilities at the Nebraska State Fair. The Nebraska Lottery, helping to build a better Nebraska.
Woodhouse brings you the experts and insight to keep your vehicle road ready. From regular maintenance to larger issues, our team of service advisors and brand certified techs have the solutions to get you and your vehicle back on the road. Plus, you can enjoy convenience of scheduling online, amenities like pickup and delivery, and for quick fixes, comfortable lounges within our dealerships. Bringing you more every time since 1975. Service with Woodhouse.
In support of the Creighton versus Cancer Pinkout game, 1620 The Zone will be on location Friday, January 27th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the American Cancer Society's Hope Lodge, Nebraska. Stop by and drop off a donation of paper products, gift cards, or cash to support cancer patients staying at the Hope Lodge, a free home away from home for cancer patients and caregivers who must travel to Omaha for their life-saving treatment. For details, listen to 1620 The Zone and visit cancer.org/pinkout.
Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is your home for the big game. Whether it's the pro football playoffs or a rivalry on the hardwood, you'll find all the action on Oscar's upgraded audio-video system. With 40 TVs and massive dual projectors, the game has never looked better. Pair that with their award-winning char-buffed wings and $7.99 Monday through Friday lunch specials. Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill has everything you need. 173rd and West Center Road, and for takeout at 162nd in Maple.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Babbel. Évidemment.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. It's time for the Deuce with Jimmy Chavez on 1620 The Zone. All the headlines you need in 2 minutes or less.
Had boys high school basketball last night. 5th-ranked Millard North. They beat 2nd-ranked Creighton Prep in overtime. So see,
there was more than just college basketball overtime games. 69-62. Getting to be that time of the year. Gary, you'll find this nice and fun. Young Trevor Lawrence getting ready for his first Arrowhead playoff experience.
What? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Man.
by the way, did you know he's 37-0 on Saturdays going all the way back to high school?
Had Saturday games on all three levels, but I mean, yeah, let's keep that going. That means we're playing again next week. So that's the plan.
That's what I think of the Jaguars' chances now. I take the Chiefs, take them big, take them to cover.
What's the decibel level at TIA Bank Stadium?
It'll be like 135.
Does it usually get up at 115 compared to Arrowhead?
In Jacksonville? No.
Yeah. That's what I was talking about. Like that. Yeah, it'll be about as loud as it was last. No, buddy.
They're going to put it on the video board. That's what's going to end up happening.
Just stick to going to Waffle House and ordering the Texas bacon cheesesteak with hash browns and cheese and a pecan waffle. Or you go with the All-Star special.
What's the All-Star special?
I've never had the All-Star special. I'm a straight. The times I've gone to Waffle House, smothered and covered.
Usually a good sign.
Does anybody really get waffles there?
Oh yeah, the waffles are great. I've
never had a waffle
never
there.
gone wrong at Waffle House.
I've never been to a Waffle House.
I don't go to bougie Waffle Houses.
What's a bougie Waffle House?
There is
A
one.
Waffle House that like when you walk across the floor, your feet don't stick.
Oh no. I've been told your feet have to stick.
I've been to Oklahoma City Waffle House once or twice. I wouldn't consider that bougie, but I never got a waffle. There was other things that looked a lot better.
Like there's a weird. So I've been to the one in Gainesville, Georgia, numerous times. There's one in Athens that is really nice, and then there's a one on the outskirts of Athens that is a little bit dicey.
Yeah.
There is one.
good one, then.
There is one smack dab in the middle of the Georgia Tech campus that is way too nice. Like it's way, way too nice. Like I've never been to the one in Kansas City when you're driving on 29, like by the airport.
Yeah.
That one looks really nice. So yeah, a good Waffle House is like any breakfast spot where you walk in and you immediately smell the food, and then when you leave, you also smell like the food.
You smell like the food, yeah.
Yeah.
Feel like you're right next to the grill.
Yeah.
There's one in Olathe right off I-35, about 5 minutes from where we live. Never went. I failed.
It's good breakfast food.
I wonder why we
Just
haven't
never
been
had
able to get
waffle.
it north of here. Now the Village Inn has kind of moved out, and we're stuck with the one Denny's on 84th.
Speaking of Village Inn, you see like their new rebranding. Trying to go the old like the farmhouse style now. Like like the Chip and Joanna Gaines thing.
Well, no, Village Inn still good at 2 a.m., but no place around here is open after 9 except for Denny's.
Yep.
I've heard
Don't
late
have the
night
staff.
eating tough to come by.
It is.
Yeah,
anymore.
COVID changed
Yeah,
a
it
lot
did.
of things. I should add, as Trevor Lawrence mentioned, playing in Kansas City, the Chiefs are a favorite for the 14th straight playoff game.
Shocked.
I got to believe that is a record. Has to be a record. 14 straight playoff games that the Chiefs have been favored, and they're about an 8.5-point favorite.
Oh,
yeah.
For that game on Saturday at 3:30. I will be done with a basketball game, so I will not be able to be sitting to watch it. I will have to watch it with a group, which makes me very uneasy.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, I could just not pay any attention and just come home because we're at South Dakota. Come home and watch it.
Don't.
But it will be too many spoilers.
Somebody will text you.
Yeah. Unless you're cool, turn your phone off. I'm not.
Speaking of spreads, the line tonight in Lincoln for the 6 o'clock Bring Your Own Energy game. I mean, it's going to be a light crowd. I mean, it's
funny because it's true.
We're going to get some snow. The game is going to be played. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have students. Maybe they open up the doors. If it gets really bad, they just say, "Hey,
come on."
If you're in downtown Lincoln, stroll on into PBA because we need you.
Yeah.
6.5 point favorite is Ohio State, who has lost 4 in a row by 2, 7, 3, and 4, and they desperately need this game. I like their starting 5. I think Ohio State's starting 5 is really efficient. And Sensabaugh is a fantastic player. They shoot the ball well. They rebound well.
Yep.
And they're going to face a Nebraska team that Griesel will be back, and I think Griesel will be fine. You know, I always judge how Nebraska is going to play on how the presser is before. I know Derek Walker will come out and play really, really well tonight. I don't know about the rest of the guys on the floor, but I know Derek Walker will come out and he will go balls to the wall. They will find out today what is up with Juwan Gary. So Juwan Gary is seeing a shoulder specialist in Lincoln, and they will have a further diagnosis on if he's going to be able to play the rest of the year, which him out of the lineup is a major subtraction.
Yeah.
Because it's just part of the whole vibe. I mean, he gives you a little dog.
Oh, he
mentality.
does. Yeah.
But we may see
Energy
more of
dude.
I think we'll see more of Oleg tonight.
I'm really interested tonight, especially with Sensabaugh, but also key in how Derek Walker is going to kind of face off. But yeah, how does Fred sort of manage the depth, the bench tonight? Like that. By the way, I think that number's low. It's 6.5. I don't know. But when I'm watching what this team might be like without Juwan Gary for an extended period of time, because, you didn't have Grease on the lineup, so it's kind of tough to gauge on Friday. And that matchup alone, with Edie, I mean, that's rare. That's a unique challenge. This one, at least as good as Ohio State and as athletic as Ohio State is with their starting 5, it's not the daunting task that it was last Friday. But now you're going to kind of see what this team is, at least for the foreseeable future. Like, let's say Juwan Gary, they get decent news. It's not like he's coming back next week, though. Okay, this is more of, are we losing Juwan Gary for the season, or are we maybe seeing him, right before conference tournament play? This is the first night that you're really going to kind of see what this team is, what Fred wants to do when it does come to the bench, different guys that he wants to implement into the lineup. And there's options there that I think, you've seen some guys get some minutes, nothing that has been, exhilarating or anything. But I think that this is going to be sort of a case-by-case type of situation, depending on the matchup where you need that help. But more than anything, assuming Griesel's 100% too, this is where you kind of see what Nebraska – that's why the intrigue for me is there, because I honestly – maybe I am too jaded. I don't expect them to win tonight. But more than anything, I'm curious on how Fred goes about the rotation, how he goes about the lineup today.
What would you do?
What would I do? I'd go for me personally. I think you have to go big in this matchup. I would go bigger, but I wouldn't say that maybe the following week either. Or I'm sorry, the following game. That's what I think is you're going with a Derek Walker that you run the offense through so much. But if you're going to lose someone that gives you a lot on the defensive end, but is also just kind of an energy guy with Juwan Gary, to me, that's where you're probably looking at trying to stabilize things in the paint as much as you can. So, does that put more of an emphasis on, not that Tominaga's a big dude, but are you seeing more from Tominaga? I'd like to see less from Tominaga. To be perfectly honest.
You say this, Gary, bring your own energy. And I know what you mean, because it'd be a light crowd. Can that help the home team? Because the road team comes out and just kind of sleepwalks through it. Sometimes those things can help you.
If I'm Chris Holtman and my team sleepwalks in that game, then I'm not an NCAA team. I mean, they have suffered 4 straight losses, and they've been heartbreaking losses.
Yeah.
This is a game that I'm sure they look at and go, this is a get-well game. All right, well, if you sleepwalk through it, somehow Nebraska finds a little energy and they pop you a little bit. It can be tough to go a little bit big because Kada is not 100%.
Yeah.
And how many minutes do you want to give to Oleg? Here's the key for Nebraska tonight is what do they get out of Dawson and Lawrence? Like, I think they're an intriguing pair for the future, but how many points are they going to score for you? Because they need see, I think Lawrence can score more than Dawson.
I agree. I like Jamarcus Lawrence more in this role than I would say with Denham Dawson. But yeah, I don't know. Having to go big without a Keita healthy, but I mean, can you rely on Bradenbach a little bit more now? I mean, do you feel like he's kind of a guy that you can rely on more than you could maybe even 5 games ago?
You kind of forced to because of the situation where he's going to have to play, instead of playing 12 to 15, he's going to have to extend that. I mean, they're going to have a lot of things go right. They're going to have to make this an ugly game. They're going to have to find a night where Ohio State there's not a lot of second chance points in this game. I mean, things are going to have to fall in line for Nebraska to win this basketball game tonight. But there's another part that we'll get into in the next hour is you're playing at home. And the last time you were at home, you lost by 26. It's January 18th. From basically college basketball season has been going on for 2 months. You've built up a little cachet with you play different, you don't quit. People kind of like this team. They're very likable. I mean, Sam Griesel, when he's done playing basketball over in Europe, is going to come back to Lincoln and he'll become the mayor someday. He'll become the Fred Hoiberg of Lincoln. I mean, Sam's a great kid, and wherever Sam goes in Lincoln, everybody wants to be with Sam.
Yeah.
But Sam can only do so much. You get him back. But the last time you were at home, and the stuff you built up from the introduction of Griesel and what he's been able to do, and you win at Creighton. So now you're 2 months into the season. I think tonight, because it's at home, is a key turning point for how we feel about Nebraska basketball. Like all in, not on the edge of, if he comes back, if he doesn't, you're like on the edge on how they play tonight and how it looks. I believe in this game against Ohio State. In a game which you are a 6.5 point underdog. But you said it surprises you that
does surprise me. Yeah. I feel like Nebraska's in a dangerous situation. And let me ask you something real quick too, when I brought up about Tominaga, because I was looking back at the minutes from the last game against Purdue. 26 minutes for him. When you look at Lawrence, you look at Dawson, are you more comfortable? Because I am personally. I would feel a little bit better, and I know Tominaga had a decent shooting game against Purdue, if some of those minutes are reduced and you see a little bit more up between Lawrence and Dawson, just for this one. I'm not saying Tominaga is like, a 10-minute guy, but I don't know, 26 minutes, I don't feel great about that with Tominaga. That's just, he's kind of, in a way, he's sort of my lat main. I was never one that was very high on him. So that's a dude that I wouldn't mind seeing being right around the 15 to 20 minute mark. And I know sometimes foul situations and whatnot are going to dictate that, but I don't necessarily want to see that type of presence from Tominaga.
All right, 7:49. We'll get your stat of the day and your chance to win $100 before we're done with this hour. We will get into a part of it has a Nebraska basketball connection. What happened in Manhattan last night when K-State won in overtime in a thriller against KU, and what happened in Ames last night. The Big 12 is running college basketball, but do they have a national champion in the Big 12? We'll get into all that. We roll till 10 mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. It's time to win Gary's Booty. Be caller 4 right now at 402-951-1620. That's caller 4 at 402-951-1620. Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. Now live on Twitch, YouTube, and 1620thezone.com.
The brand new Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair is now hiring. Starting wage is up to $20.10 per hour with benefits including medical, dental, vision, 401k, and a $2,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/career. Again, apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Dollar General can't wait to have you become a team member at their brand new distribution center.
Welcome to Digital Express. On the Fort Omaha campus of Metropolitan Community College, Digital Express is an inviting space for people to learn and interact with technology. It's a place where multiple generations can feel comfortable, a place where K-12 students can come for support and workshops, a place where families can connect, learn, and create, and a place to ask basic questions about technology and receive low-cost technology repairs. For more information, visit mccnev.edu/Digital Express.
Visit KuglerVision.com today and check out their special New Year savings on modern LASIK.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month. A savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-672-7070. That's 1-800-672-7070. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-672-7070. That's 1-800-672-7070.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call on the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Sean Callahan breaks down signing day and all the recent additions to the Husker staff and roster this Thursday at Holy Ghost Church on 52nd and Q. Doors open at 5, program starts at 7, and it's only $10 for adults and $5 for children. Sponsored by Husker Hounds and Mama's Pizza.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
So if you're looking for something tonight for the Nebraska-Ohio State game, Ohio State is top 25 in shot quality, attacking the rim. I have not looked at the shot quality chart from the Creighton-Butler game last night, but Creighton was exceptional inside of the arc. What was it? Only a third of their attempts were from three?
Yeah.
I mean, they've changed the motto of instead of let it fly, it's let's get to the rim.
Yeah.
Now that may screw up the new sports bar that Mike Miller is opening up in the Capital District. I don't think it just rolls right off your tongue of let's get to the rim. Hey, that sounds like a place for a sports bar instead of let it fly. But that could be the new motto for Creighton.
I'm not going to be at that bar.
So I've not looked at the shot quality from last night. But one thing stood out as I was sifting through the box score this morning. Did you see what Butler shot on their 2-point field goals last night? So it was a weird game. Butler missed a lot of bunnies, and there was stretches in the second half as Creighton was, dominating. That Butler couldn't make a bucket whatsoever. But their field goal percentage from 2-point field goals last night, 27%. Yeah. They were 12 of 44.
You say from 2-pointers?
Yep.
It's terrible.
And they missed,
it's not good.
They missed a lot of shots in the shadow of the rim.
Yeah.
They're a team that, gosh, if they put out the injury report before the game last night, and they have a handful of guys that are out. Again, no one's crying for Argentina, no one's crying for Butler. I think they're exactly the same. But if they are healthy, I would be curious to see how Butler plays, because I think Butler plays hard, but I think this might turn into a lost season because of so many injuries. Now they're going to get Bates back before the end of the year. But God, they missed a lot of buckets that, when you miss a shot that you feel good about that's in the shadow of the rim, look what it does to you. Guys' shoulders go, and a run out the other way, and a layup or a dunk or a three or whatever happens. But I haven't seen that very often where a team is that porous from 2-point. 12 of 44 was what Butler was last night.
We talked about Nebraska and the bunnies that they would miss too. Man, has it ever been that bad though? That's atrocious. That's for a Division I college basketball team to miss that many.
Was Barry Collier's teams? I don't recall that bad at bunnies. Maybe he took it and it's in the DNA of Butler.
Wow.
Well, I have to connect everything. Right. Here's the other observation I have about Hinkle. So watching the game last night with Kevin and Nick, and Creighton got rid of the demons that are Hinkle Fieldhouse, where they played a really good game against a team that they should have beat. I mean, they were a 7-point favorite when that game went off, and they were dominant in the paint. They were dominant on the glass. There is such an advantage for Butler playing at Hinkle Fieldhouse. It's a little bit odd, the behind the backboard is not great depth. You have to step up to the floor. If you're sitting at the scorer's table, basically the scorer's table comes up to the middle of your chest.
Yeah.
Just a weird place. But I was thinking about watching the game, and it was a night game last night. Do people still use the word duh?
Yeah.
I think I just went there. I went a little old school on you.
Okay.
If I was Butler, I would try and play every game during the day.
Oh yeah, with the
glare,
the glare and the sun coming in. Yeah,
I thought about that.
That's when it really gets
because
you.
Creighton shot a little bit better there than they have in the past. I'm like, what a home court advantage for Butler when they play on the weekend.
Yeah,
and they play during the day because they practice in there during the day, so they've already dealt with the sun glare.
It's noticeable too during games, day games.
I wonder if that throws a lot of visiting teams off that play there during the day. It's because all of a sudden, what are we dealing with sun? Where'd this come from? and Butler is used to it.
Yeah.
We got to look into that.
It's true because Allen Fieldhouse has the windows too, and Bill Self has said for years that his favorite time to play is when the sun is coming in through the windows.
Yeah.
Loves when it shines on the floor.
Yeah, you get those early afternoon games.
1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. It's perfect.
Because I remember watching, some from the pod, but also just some afternoon games. And I want to say a couple years back, didn't Creighton play them on a weekend afternoon out there?
They have in the past. It's like split of this stretch where they haven't had great success. They'll get there on a Saturday, the Saturday 11 a.m. game.
I just remember on the telecast, it's noticeable. It's really noticeable. Now, as far as how it impacts the overall shooting environment for the opposition, I'd be curious to know. I'd be curious to hear from people who have played in that environment. Maybe it's not as big of a deal as I would think it could be, but yeah, I mean, it's unique. You know that. It's very unique to you. There's not a lot of places that have that. So, I mean, if you have that at your disposal, yeah, you should shoot for that. Well, we don't want any night games on the weekend. Hell no.
I mean, some of these indoor stadiums that have they open like the Lucas Oil where they can open the panels, or at US Bank where the light can shine in.
Mm-hmm.
What a great home. Jerry World is the worst. Like, what a great home field advantage.
Mm-hmm.
You're dealing with Mother Nature is like your best friend.
Yeah, it's funny too because you can kind of. I don't know how the schematics of being able to tinker with the roof or the overall shade of that works, but you feel like if you've got the sideline where the opposing team is, you can kind of set it to where it's just absolutely beaming down on them for a little bit.
It's absolutely true. I mean, I've called many afternoon games in Allen Fieldhouse, and I've actually put my sunglasses on because I was like, this is stupid. I have sunglasses in my bag. I'm going to take them out and wear them. Like, why are you wearing them?
Then
The
you look
sun's
like,
right in my
the
face.
dude who is calling a game with shades on inside, and they're like,
You just look
who's
like
this
the
guy?
dude. Yeah.
Who's this guy? Who's he think he is?
I'm on to something there. I'm gonna do some research on day games compared to night games when you go into play.
They need to find
Butler.
out from Thad if he has a strong opinion, if he pushes for that.
Hey, next year when the Big East schedule comes out, I'd be like, and you're Creighton, I'd be
Afternoon.
like, no, we're not playing in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Let's move that game to a night game.
Hey, Fox, come on, step up here.
All right, 8:01. Coming up a little bit later, Scott Shanley, Brandon Vogel stop by. Hey, we might ask Brandon Vogel, who will have a better college career? One has a head start on the other. Xavier Betts or Malachi Coleman? You two chew on that with everybody else as we roll till 10 on a Hump Day edition, a Snowmageddon potential Hump Day edition of Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. Hey, you can bet the NFL playoffs with FanDuel, where every play is a rush. We are on to the divisional round. We are down to the Final Four, and this weekend, FanDuel is giving all customers a no-sweat same-game parlay during the divisional round. It doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or already have an account. You're going to get free bets back if your NFL playoff same-game parlay doesn't hit. That's pretty simple. Same-game parlays let you combine all your favorite bets for a chance at a bigger payday.
Yeah, same game parlays let you combine all of your favorite bets for a chance at a bigger payday. And build your favorite same game parlay for this weekend, including maybe just slightly interested in taking the over of Patrick Mahomes' touchdowns against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Anytime touchdown score, whether you're talking about a CMC or anyone else. You can even ride with thousands of other fans and bet popular same-game parlays already made for you. If you're new to FanDuel, join now with the promo code ZONE to see for yourself why it's America's #1 sportsbook. Again, that is promo code ZONE. And if you already have FanDuel, you can start building your no-sweat same-game parlay today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in Iowa, 3+ legs minutes, $1 bet regulation refund issued as non-withdrawable. Free bets that expire 7 days after receipt. $5 unless otherwise specified. Sportsbook, FanDuel.com. Gambling problem, call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a bit of a slowdown from 180th to 165th along Center. Then on Dodge, be prepared for a little bit of slowdown from 80th to 72nd. And other than that, it looks like your commute this morning should be pretty smooth, even if you're running a bit late. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This Time-Saving Traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
What does Saul's loan on? Almost everything, like jewelry, gold chains, bracelets, earrings, wedding rings, and high-end watches, guns, electronics, $10 to $50,000, super fast and easy with no credit check. Saul's loans on almost everything.
Dust. It's in the living room, the bedroom, and the bathroom. It's also in your lungs. Let's fix that, shall we? Duct Defense Midwest offers a comprehensive system that cleans, disinfects, filters, and purifies the air. They'll make your home healthier and improve the life of your HVAC system. So improve the health of your home and everyone in it. Go to cleanairradio.com right now for a special air duct cleaning offer for Zone listeners. cleanairradio.com.
Do something fun with the family. Come downtown and go to the auto show, January 20th through the 22nd at the CHI Health Center. Get inside the newest cars, trucks, and SUVs and see some of the hottest electric cars like the Hyundai Ioniq 5. Race a NASCAR remote control car. See beautiful classic cars and visit the Subaru Pet Adoption. Free admission for veterans on Friday. Get out and go to the auto show, January 20th through the 22nd. Find more at OmahaAutoShow.com.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you ordered a new air filter for your car. You try to install it, but it doesn't fit. So you take a little bit off the sides. Well, it still doesn't fit? Well, you could try to sit on it. Or get it right the first time with eBay Motors Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you know that part's going to fit. Air filters, brakes, headlights, over 122 million parts. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
I had a nighttime routine for my frequent heartburn. I would drink milk, I would sleep upright with more pillows, but that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just one pill each morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
One pill a day, 24 hours, zero heartburn. With Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Babbel. Évidemment.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Thank you to everyone who voted for MD West One in the Best of Omaha contest. We are thrilled to announce MD West One has been named the #1 private medical practice in Omaha for 4 years in a row. MD West One is also named first place in the orthopedic surgery and neurosurgical spine surgery. Our 34 board certified surgeons specialize in treating every bone, joint, or muscle condition from head to toe. Go to MDWest1.com to meet the #1 place to go for orthopedic, neurosurgery, and spine. Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Halftime brought to you by Heart Cigars and Pipes Lounge, just off 680 and 48th Street next to Cubby's. It's Heart Cigars and Pipes Lounge.
Right, so the 2023 Pac-12 schedule is starting to leak out. At noon today Central Time, they're going to release it. It appears that the Pac-12 would like a lot of early eyeballs on Colorado.
Of course.
Colorado's conference opener is at Eugene September 23rd against Oregon. Then they turn around the next week and they play USC at home.
Well, that'll be a big one.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be a nice ticket there.
So the Pac-12 would like people to watch Colorado early before they end up in their 6-6 or 5-7 season.
I get it. I mean, not just for Colorado. We were talking about this yesterday with really putting Dion out there. I mean, he's been on the Manning cast. He was during the College Football National Championship broadcast too. I mean, it's great for Colorado, but yeah, I mean, when you think of George Kliavkoff and looking at sort of this new direction of the Pac-12, what it's going to be, like this is an opportunity because regardless of how Colorado plays this year, I mean, you have got a major, as you said, kind of a magnet, but a major recognizable football presence as a head coach. And with all, having the two schools, mainly USC and Lincoln Riley, leaving, you have really got to embrace the coaching personalities that you have, or at least the names, the faces that you have. And I mean, can anybody argue that Dion isn't that guy right now? I mean, it makes a lot of sense for the Pac-12 right now. It's kind of this new feel for the Pac-12, and now you've got Dion as a part of it. I mean, get used to it. If people are tired of it now, you're just going to have to get used to getting tired.
Time is now.
Hmm? It's there for you.
That's the Tim Brewster speech that he had.
Sit down!
Which seemed like a bad parody of every basic training scene you've seen in every popular war movie that went on in the first meeting. So it looks like
that online like Dion's.
It looks like the Pac-12 is trying to schedule their way into eyeballs in the playoff. So November 11th, they're going to have Utah at Washington, and USC at Oregon on the same day. It's kind of interesting because those are two mega games, and they're scheduling them on the same day. Now, USC is going to have a week 0 game. So USC has scheduled their way into managing the season because they're going to have a bye week on week 3 and week 13. USC is, and they got to make it, and I don't know why they wouldn't, unless Caleb Williams, decides to, take off the whole year and get ready for the draft.
Yeah.
USC has a bye the week before the conference championship game. They are not playing on Thanksgiving weekend. And the only Pac-12 game on Black Friday is the Civil War between Oregon and Oregon State. But there's another thing that I noticed here, and John Canzano from Portland has released part of it. The Pac-12 is going to have a floating date for their championship game, either December 1st or December 2nd. They've played that Friday night.
Yeah, they've owned that spot.
Yeah, they were in Santa Clara, and then they've been in Vegas, and they're back in Vegas. But he's reporting that they're going to either play on Friday or Saturday. So they are trying to work their way into the playoff with the way they are building their schedule. That's a smart move. I mean, USC will be they're going to be one of the top teams, but Utah, Oregon, Washington. I mean, this will be the last year of USC and UCLA. The Pac-12 is set to have a really good season. They got good quarterbacks coming back. They got good coaches. And it appears they got a smart conference that is trying to schedule them into having one team in the playoff.
I'm trying to understand better, though, how much of a disadvantage you'd be if you played in that Friday night spot where you own that spot, as opposed to playing at some point on Saturday when it comes to championship weekend. Me, like we knew like what USC was facing last year, but like, does that change in a 24-hour period? Like if they're playing Friday night as opposed to playing Saturday? Like, I mean, I get it. It's all of the conference championships going on at once, but that to me doesn't seem like a huge advantage. Because I kind of like how they had the Friday night game. Personally, I kind of like that one. So I don't know how that sets them back.
There is another part of the college football world that is in the news, and Michigan is back in the news. It has nothing to do with Harbaugh. Has anybody seen that Harbaugh himself said he's coming back? It was the president of Michigan that announced it. Has Jim Harbaugh personally said he is coming back?
No.
Now, there's a video out there. I think this is from last night. He was in a recruit's home lifting weights in his in his dress clothes.
He went to a high school also and
At
did
least
something like that.
He wasn't climbing trees or
Or
laying next to
or staying overnight at a teenager's house.
Yeah, in a sleeping bag.
But he publicly said he's coming back?
No.
Okay.
That's fair.
No, I think he's coming back.
He is, but I mean, with Jim Harbaugh, it's at least important to bring that stuff up. With any other coach, like, no, it's just a formality. But no, for Jim Harbaugh, it all matters.
Whether he's coming back or not, he may have to figure out what's going on with his co-offensive coordinator. This came out yesterday. Angelique Chingalis,
our friend,
is reporting that the co-offensive coordinator and quarterback coach, Matt Weiss, has been suspended pending an investigation into a computer crime that occurred within the football building, Schembechler Hall, back before Christmas. And so he is on leave, said he is cooperating with the investigation. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
This appears...
It's not one you see every day.
Well, it sounds like these crimes, he accessed somebody's email or somebody's computer that he is not permitted to. Which, why would the co-offensive coordinator have to do that? What was he looking to do if that is the case?
We were talking about this earlier, and I didn't know if he was trying to access something that was going to get somebody in trouble, but then you brought up, does this have to do with grades? That's what I would say. Are you maybe helping out someone with their work? Like,
I mean,
why would you need to do that?
The statement is very vague. But, but just a little bit that I know about this is you accessed either an email or a computer that you are not permitted to, and it set off a red flag. And this isn't, and I'm also judging it off of who is responding. It was university police that began this investigation. So this is not the State Patrol of Michigan. This is not the Ann Arbor Police. This is not the FBI.
It's not the
it
Bureau.
is the campus police. So I think that he probably went somewhere where he was not supposed to go and accessed an email or another computer. And, why would he feel the need to do that?
Right.
So I'm sure more will come out, but this is not a good look for Michigan, who already, has the NCAA throwing stuff at the wall against them and the whole Jim Harbaugh situation.
Was he trying to thwart a potential tampering? Was someone tampering and trying to get one of his players? And so he wanted to know exactly what was being said because he couldn't actually get said student athlete's cell phone. So he was trying to get email records. He was trying to do a good thing by heading off a little tampering, and in response, he's the one. No.
He's a hero?
No.
I picture it more like War Games where he changes the grade.
For a moment, though, let's say it was something academic related, why is your assistant or your co-OC, why is he doing this? Okay, let's play the game for a moment, okay? Yes, we all know that it's not choir boys always involved when it comes to the happenings of everyday life and functions in college athletics. Don't you have somebody that you can have do that that's not of that profile?
You mean like a GA analyst? Yeah.
We
all have our roles.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like Michigan doesn't have resources and connections, even ones that they don't necessarily need to be made public. But why would you have your co-OC doing something like this if this was indeed something that he was directed to do? And maybe he wasn't. Maybe he took it upon himself. But
showing initiative.
I don't understand why that individual would be involved with something like that.
Well, however you're involved, whatever we're looking to do, I mean, come on, people that are committing crimes, you got to be smarter than this. Why are you doing it at your business in Schembechler Hall?
Right. Yep.
All right. Hey, the detectives, the police that investigate, man, they're always laughing at y'all.
Yeah.
Because you guys are stupid criminals, okay? And you're just basically handing them the okay. All right.
When you're doing the shady stuff on your work email.
Why at your place of business?
Yeah.
So that's another thing Michigan will have to deal with. May hurt my projection that they're going to be the preseason number 1 team. They might have to move to number 2.
Well, they're also dealing with potential tampering as well. There's NCAA is looking into.
You're saying that takes the ticket price down?
They're not going to enforce tampering.
No.
I mean, everybody is doing it.
No, it's a loud bark because people want. This goes back to one of those stories where the UTSA coach talked about where you're on the verge of naming names. The NCAA wants that, but until somebody actually does, they're gonna bark loud. But nothing's gonna come of this. I mean, it's the NCAA.
8:18. Scott Shanley coming up next hour. We'll talk about the NFL divisional round playoffs coming up. Also, Aaron Rodgers made a comment yesterday about with the right team or situation, he could win the MVP again. I don't know, did you say the Super Bowl or did you say the MVP?
Yes, MVP.
Just MVP?
It's vague.
Not about the Super Bowl?
Didn't say Super Bowl.
You're 40 years old. Next time the season rolls around, do you want to win the Super Bowl or you want to win the MVP? I don't know how he's going to bounce back from this past year. That way he'd win comeback player of the year if he bounced back and was the MVP conversation next year. I don't know. That was his wrap up of the season with Pat McAfee was kind of odd.
So you said yesterday you thought Rodgers was more likely gone than Brady. After hearing the McAfee interview. You still there?
Still.
Okay. I feel like he wants to explore other potential options in the NFL.
What if Brady takes the spot that he wants somewhere?
Well, that's a possibility.
I mean, I'm all aboard Brady to the Raiders.
I think it
makes too much sense.
I think that's very limited to where Brady's going to go. But, I mean, he's not going to San Francisco.
They're good.
He has a situation to flourish. Wouldn't that be something if Aaron Rodgers didn't retire and continued to play and somehow got out of Green Bay and ended up in Tampa Bay?
Hey, what'd you say yesterday?
They should fire Todd Bowles, is
well,
what I
that
said.
too.
Yeah, well.
But live the Florida life.
But I guess they're looking at Byron Leftwich. They don't know about his job status. What?
Wait, he should have been the head coach.
Well, you know who's available again.
What?
Well, Aaron Rodgers' Nathaniel Hackett is available. LaFleur even said he was not against bringing LaFleur back in the fold. I mean, could it come down to something like that where A-Rod's like, hey, you need to bring Hackett back. Bring him back, and I'm back.
Whether it's Jordan Love or Aaron Rodgers, that'd be a smart move to bring him back to Green Bay.
I mean, it's pretty much the Josh McDaniel factor of what happened when he first went to Denver.
Scott, coming up at 9, Brandon Vogel as well. Plus, Nick will have your 8 o'clock stat of the day, 1620 The Zone. Hey, when you are looking for the next vehicle, whether it be new or pre-owned, nowhere to go but Woodhouse Buick GMC, located at 119th and I, indoor showroom. Yeah, with the weather about to turn here, and doesn't mean you got to stop your looking for a new vehicle or a pre-owned vehicle. Yeah, you can do it inside in all kinds of weather to find that capable truck that can get you through the wintertime, or that stylish SUV that can fit the whole family comfortably. You're basically looking for a vehicle that you can stay safe and warm, and you can find it now. Vehicles that have heated power folding mirrors, remote start, heated seats, heated steering wheel, traction selection system, advanced temperature control, whether it be the GMC, the Denali, or the Acadia. You can find it today in person, 119th and I, or online at WoodhouseBuickGMC.com. They streamline the entire process. You can interact with a sales team member online, schedule a test drive, purchase a vehicle. You can do it all. They make it easy on you. So shop Woodhouse GMC first. Their huge indoor showroom, 119th and I, in-store or online at any time, WoodhouseBuickGMC.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West 1 Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. The Connor Happer Show.
I used my meat slicer. My first ever use of it was to slice some cheese, and I made a video of it. I put it on Twitter. And people coming up to me in public, hey, I don't really reach out all that much, but I, follow on Twitter, and I saw your meat slicer, and that's freaking awesome. Situations like that happen a few times. Unanimous support for me and my meat slicer. What a supportive community that you guys have been.
The Connor Happer Show. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Winter storm warning in effect Wednesday. Expect a light wintry mix and snow to move into the metro between 9 and 11 a.m., then changing over to heavy wet snow in the afternoon with temperatures in the lower 30s. Road conditions deteriorate throughout the day as heavy snow persists through the evening drive. Heavy snow becomes light overnight, then will wrap up by early Thursday morning. 6 to 10 inches possible in the metro. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley, brought to you by MD West 1 Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine on 1620 The Zone.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the time-saving traffic center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect some significant delays from 102nd all the way to 79th along L Street. Then on Dodge, be prepared for just a little bit of a delay from 80th to 72nd. And along Highway 370, be prepared for some significant slowdowns from 84th to 72nd. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
Everyone knows Saul's pays top dollar for your gold, but Saul's pays cash on the spot for your precious metals too. Silver, gold, platinum, coins, bars. Who wants to wait to get paid? Get to Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
Saul's Jewelry and Loan. You'll find it all at Saul's Jewelry.
The Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Email me, Connor Happer, with the Connor Happer Show at Connor, CONNOR, at 1620thezone.com. Send me your love, your hate, and maybe a few hot takes. The Zone Inbox, presented by Equitable Bank.
Coming back from a serious injury is a win that requires teamwork. At Barry Law, we're in it to win it.
Call Barry Law today. 402-999-7777.
Your Omaha hockey team is home this weekend where they welcome Miami to the Baxter Arena. Pregame is at 6:30 Friday. Puck drops at 7:07. It's UNO versus Miami this weekend on your new home for Maverick Hockey. News Talk 1290 Coil.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
NRG Media in Omaha is growing. We're looking for an account executive to present and sell marketing campaigns to local businesses. We're also looking for a client marketing coordinator to help our account executives create and execute marketing campaigns backed by excellent customer service. NRG is also looking for a sales assistant to help with the behind-the-scenes details that keep everything running smoothly. For information on each of these positions, go to nrgmedia.com and click Careers. NRG Media is an equal opportunity employer.
Sean Callahan breaks down signing day and all the recent additions to the Husker staff and roster this Thursday at Holy Ghost Church on 52nd and Q. Doors open at 5, program starts at 7, and it's only $10 for adults and $5 for children. Sponsored by Husker Hounds and Mama's Pizza.
Make the right call, fans. The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Rooferees. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. It's time for the Deuce with Jimmy Chavez on 1620 The Zone. All the headlines you need in 2 minutes or less.
Pretty big story yesterday. Nebraska volleyball standout Whitney Lauenstein announced yesterday that she is stepping away from the Huskers to focus on her family. The native of Waverly was second on the team in kills this past season for NU. It's a pretty big loss.
Yeah, she is. Was a joy to watch. Incredible athleticism and a cannon on that right arm. And she had a great personality. I mean, you knew when she was playing, she had a big smile.
Yeah.
She has an incredible support group, has and will continue. And this is something that has been on her mind since her father passed away a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I can't even fathom. To lose a parent at that young of an age, and then to balance playing a sport which is not just a fall sport. I mean, it's a year-round commitment to be a Division I athlete, and then you got to go to school. Good for her. This has been kind of discussed, so this didn't catch Nebraska by surprise, and they gave Whitney her space. But that's good. There's a lot of people that are rooting for her to find her peace, and good on her for her priorities.
Yep.
And coming out with that publicly yesterday. Again, that young age to lose one of your parents and have to deal with that. Nebraska, knowing that this was a possibility, they added Beeson, the transfer from Florida, and then they're going to have Lindsey Krause will move over and she will play outside on the left side.
Yeah.
So, but there'll be an incredible. Already is, knowing the situation where Whitney lost her father last year in 21. There is and will continue to be a huge support group. For her. But from the volleyball side, we're all a little selfish. She was definitely a joy to watch.
Yeah, very well said.
One quick bonus: Cowboys, Mike McCarthy, and special teams coach, not Jim Fossil, John Fossil. They believe in Brett, believe in the hot hand, believe in the yips. They think that he's going to bounce back, and they're sticking by him as they get ready to go to San Francisco this weekend. So stay tuned.
Yeah, there was a time I believe Connor Culp was over whatever he had going on there in 2021. Boy, was I wrong. Okay, here's a theory I want to try. I want you to try and emphasize, Gary. I've never been able to have this discussion with you. Am I crazy to think that Connor Culp's All Big Ten season was kicking through the uprights in stadiums that had no people behind the uprights, and then going back to more of a normal setting was just weird enough and just a little off kilter to make him have the season that he had? Like, is that so crazy? Like, come on, dude.
No, I don't think
Like,
so.
he's a collegiate kicker. He should, like, I just feel like all of a sudden, what has changed from 2020 to 2021? Well, you've got thousands of fans back in stadiums. Your visual, your vantage point, all that has changed. Like, I've always thought that had a lot to do with it. I feel for the kid.
Hey, went from Big Ten kicker of the year to AWOL.
Yeah. And you could see him wearing it after every kick. Almost when he'd line up, you're like, I don't like this. You can almost see it. And that's when I think of the yips.
Well, now Nebraska's got 2 scholarship kickers in Bleak Road and Alvano. All right. Thanks, Jimmy. Jimmy mentioned last hour, great game last night. Millard North beat Creighton Prep in overtime. And Millard North, they play this weekend. They go to Quincy, Illinois, and then they go down to Columbia, Missouri to play. And it's great that one of the high school basketball teams, whether it be Scott girls went down to Arizona. There's the big tournament out in Grand Island, and teams have gone up to Sioux City. So you get to travel a little bit and play teams from outside of your area. I like coaches that are creative. We will always miss the opportunity here in Omaha, and it was scheduled during the COVID year where Millard North was going to play a primetime ESPN game. So Sierra Canyon was coming here. And, when that COVID hit, that got erased off the books. So I'm glad that coaches think outside of the box and they give the exposure and their student athletes can go places that they may never go. So I like creativity. You guys know that. There was also something going on last night here. So Millard South, as you know, as being a Millard guy, their wrestling program is a juggernaut.
Yeah.
The kids that I hang out with, they will say, Gary, it's not a juggernaut. It's a wagon. So Millard South Wrestling is a wagon. Nate Olson's got a great program there. Jeff Rutledge, who is down at Lincoln East, they've got a great program as well. I mean, those are the 2 top Class A wrestling programs. And they met in a regular duel last night. You know what I really appreciate? First of all, Millard South has built their program and they got a feeder program. And again, they just roll. Lincoln East always does something different, whether it be, hey, you know what? If we're going to beat Millard South and we're going to see them in February in Omaha, let's go see them in January in a duel, straight up duel.
Yeah.
But Lincoln East always thinks out of the side of the box. Is it every other year that they will host a duel in the Performing Arts Auditorium at Lincoln East, where they're up on the stage? Because they do different things. Like I remember with Lincoln East, where they will go and host a duel. I think they do. Do you remember if they do they go in their Performing Arts Center there at Lincoln East at 70th and A, and they're up on. I'm pretty sure they put a mat down. They're up on the stage, and because I think I remember they wrestled Carney in that situation.
That's crazy.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's a sport that, you know what? Let's be honest. It doesn't get a ton of attention here compared to the other side of the river. So you got to think outside of the box.
Yeah.
And I always appreciate Lincoln East in trying to, grow the sport and grow attention for it. I'm thinking
of like the
top 2 teams came to Omaha.
Like most of those high school theaters, with the stands, you have the, obviously the elevated stage, and being able to construct a wrestling environment of wrestling mats and being able to do that, pull it off. Now, I haven't actually seen Lincoln East, how that looks. It's cool. I mean, that because it's unique. Okay. And, we've talked about all of those, how sports, especially with basketball, when they tried the Bellevue West Ravenna, I was curious how that was going to work out. And it was so unique. And it was, standing room only. You had an overflow crowd in the cafeteria there, watching the closed circuit feed. And, when you are able, especially a sport like wrestling, where you're right, it doesn't get as much attention as it does in Iowa. So if you can kind of create a very unique experience on how you would typically be able to watch the sport, it creates buzz, it creates more attention. And, and if you're pretty damn good and you got a good wrestling program, I was happy to be around Columbus when I was there for that time, because Columbus had a very historically solid wrestling program, and then the surrounding communities of Central City and stuff. But I always felt like, something that you bring up right there, you could always do something maybe a little bit more detailed on showcasing your event. And I know like a lot of those wrestling programs, they would travel to Iowa. I know Columbus would do that. They'd go to Iowa and have sort of a border showdown. But I mean, what a neat way to try to showcase what you have in your sport. I would love if they do that. I would love to check that out because it's just a unique way of seeing something like that.
How about this town? You've got in terms of like wrestling juggernauts, like true dynasties. We had the great run with Omaha North. Omaha Scud has had their run, and now Millard South is in the middle of a run of truly being a dynasty in high school wrestling.
And Prep's had some really good ones too. Yeah, I mean it's the central and even probably more of the central Nebraska area too. Having covered Central City, also another one that was sort of able to be kind of the new one to the block. And isn't it interesting too how you just build that? It's usually not a one-hit wonder where if you win that state title, that's like, okay, that was just sort of a flash in the pan. Like typically, if they're not winning it the following year, whatever school that is, they're runner-up. And they're probably very competitive. It's very close. Like you see these runs for, I would say at least 2 or 3 years in most occasions. And then maybe somebody else kind of gets you, but you don't fall so far back in the pack either. It's unique that way with wrestling and how the successful programs, when they build it, there's a lot of staying power with them at all levels too, not just in Class A and B.
Nebraska wrestling, which had a good weekend last week. They beat nationally ranked Minnesota and Northwestern. Things are about to get real because Friday night at Carver Hawkeye Arena, Nebraska and Iowa face off against each other. Probably have 15,000 people.
I was going to say, it draws well, doesn't it?
No? Oh,
I know Iowa State, same thing.
Cade McNamara going to be there?
I do not know that. Maybe they'll be going through winter conditioning.
Introduce Cade to the crowd.
They have introduced Jerome Tang down in Manhattan last night. Kansas State.
What a play call to win the game too.
By KU or K-State?
By K-State.
Well,
K-State did the lob and the dunk by
as a poster.
You can't bring his name up around here because last August you thought maybe Keontae Johnson was going to play at Nebraska. We'll get to that in just a moment. But K-State wins, so that's the dunk, the lob and the dunk, 24 seconds to go, and then KU had just an awful possession at the end of overtime where, I mean, KU had plenty of opportunities. KU lost the game last night in overtime. First of all, they had 3 guys foul out. Jalen Wilson goes for 38, but they missed 23 free throws. Or no, they missed 23 threes. They missed 10 free throws, and they turned the ball over 15 times.
And they still almost won.
And they almost won. But Kansas State is completely different. So here's the power of one coach, how he can change things. And it's not like K-State basketball has been dormant. There have been moments of really good basketball under Bruce Weber. But of late, you saw why he had to make a change because there was no life in the K-State basketball program. And you went and hired a guy off a coaching tree, which we can all look at the great successful coaches in sports and go, hey, who's their top assistant? Let's go hire him. Well, I think you need to do some work, and you got to get the best coaching tree.
Yeah.
And I've said this now 2 days in a row. Scott Drew has a great coaching tree. And Scott Drew has a system at Baylor where people are pretty loyal to him, and they like working for him. I mean, Paul Mills at Oral Roberts was there forever. Jerome Tang was with Scott Drew forever. And then finally, an athletic director who thinks outside of the box.
They got a good one.
I mean, anybody want to disagree that right now, in the 500-mile radius, that K-State with the combo of football and men's basketball, is there anybody else that's better in the 500-mile radius than that combo?
100% right now. Yep.
Okay. They have a really good athletic director, Gene Taylor, thinks outside of the box. Look at his hires. They were not who? That's kind of who they were. I mean, Chris Kleiman, Jerome Tang. So they hired Tang, and he has breathed life into the K-State program. He's got a lot of recruiting connections. They did well in the portal. They got timing is everything. Keontae Johnson, maybe Nebraska, got cleared, didn't get cleared, but the timing, and he ends up in Manhattan, and we saw what a difference maker he is. I mean, imagine if he's playing in the Big Ten at Nebraska. I'll get to that in a moment. Because every time you see him, you think,
what could have been?
What happened last August when he was here on a visit that went well, and who said, hey, your heart is good, and who said, nah, we're not going to be able to clear you.
Yeah.
But he's at K-State, and K-State cleared him. Okay? So he has been a difference maker. But it shows you one guy that believes in himself, believes in what he's doing, gives belief to a team, and they believe in him, what you can change. And Kansas State basketball is for real. And you look at how he has worked his way into the fan base. They win last night. They stormed the floor. It was a great, great atmosphere. Great, great game down in Manhattan. He's up on the scorer's table. He's got the mic in his hand. He says, "That's your one court storming. Expect to win after that." I'm
that's
like,
big.
Bam.
Yep.
So, we're around here walking into that tricky part. Telling you, Nebraska lays an egg tonight. And I think it's going to be tough for Nebraska to win tonight. But I think it'll be closer than it was last week. Now, I could be off on that, and I could be off on my 4 to 6 inches. But if Nebraska at home lays an egg tonight, and it's a terrible performance, from January 19th to the end of the year, it's all going to be about what the future is.
Yeah.
Not going to be about this current team. Everybody will speculate, well, what's Trev going to do? Do you think Fred, who looks miserable on the sidelines, do you think he'll just say, enough is enough? That's what happens tonight if Nebraska lays an egg. So it'll start the transition of everybody wants a Tommy Lloyd or a Jerome Tang. Tommy Lloyd was the number 1 assistant under Mark Few. He was really, really good. Arizona hired him. Look what's happened to Arizona basketball. You don't even really talk about Sean Miller anymore, right?
No.
Nope.
And Arizona basketball is rolling. So here in the next go-around, because to be honest, we're going to be in it. I'm telling you, everybody, we're going to be in it around here on the speculation. My first call is not to Craig Smith, who will be the obvious, okay, tell me a candidate for the Nebraska job. Oh, boom, Craig Smith.
Yeah.
He's at Utah. Craig's really, really good. I like Craig a lot. But I'm going to tell you, I got my eye on another guy. And it's the dynamic of an athletic director when it comes to basketball, and you're not a basketball guy. What are you looking for? Are you looking for that up-and-comer that's been at a mid-major school? Are you looking for a coach that has been somewhere else? Or do you have enough gumption and enough confidence that you're going to go find the assistant, a Power 5 assistant coach who has cut his teeth and has done things that has prepared him for the number 1 chair? And if you have the stones as an athletic director and you understand where your program is, where your basketball program is, you're comfortable doing that. I'm going to put a name out there on January 18th, whether it's Nebraska, whether it's BFEU. You want a guy? You guys ready for this? Mark this down and follow this. Brandon Knight, Steve Pikiell's number 1 assistant at Rutgers.
Wow. Okay.
Played at Pitt. 41 years old. He is an amazing recruiter. And as I watched Jerome Tang last night, I'm thinking, who is the next Jerome Tang? That guy is Brandon Knight at Rutgers, currently on Steve Pikiell's staff.
Here's why I love that idea, the concept of that. Because watching this Kansas State team now a handful of times, and then last night in that rivalry against Kansas, it makes sense when you look at what Jerome Tang has prepared this program for, of the level of basketball that's played at the Big 12. You always want to look at, and we talk about this in football a lot too, in making the hires, of having that conference experience, understanding what it takes to win at said conference that you would want to see that person get a job for. There's a lot of reason that I found Dave Aranda to be attractive, but then also Jim Leonard before he got boosted to the interim head coaching position, because they have Big Ten experience. Look at Jerome Tang. When Baylor had it rolling, they were beating the likes of Kansas. They were putting themselves the top. And I mean, they're still a good basketball program, don't get me wrong. But Jerome Tang has a front row seat to that. Not only does he know how to recruit, but recruit to the conference, recruit to the what's going to work in the Baylor system. But more than anything, you have a night in, night out scouting report on all these teams and a lot of the coaches that have been there, like the Bill Self's been there forever. You understand what it takes to beat them. And you've seen it more than just once, where it's not just one of those college basketball flukes. So you're able to, as you're learning from Drew, you're able to take whatever whatever you've learned, and you put your own personality on it. And you stay in that conference because you've had success in that conference. When you think of what Pikiell and Rutgers are doing. So when you were getting ready to say a name, I was curious, are you going to go with a Big Ten headman's assistant? And because if you're thinking about the majority of your season being played in that conference, me personally, whether we're talking football, volleyball, if it's a high-end level conference like that, and it takes a unique person that has the experience on how to be successful in that conference, regardless if they're a head coach or an assistant coach, those guys to me would be higher priority than, say, the upcoming mid-major guy, or somebody that has maybe been at a Power 5. The Thad Matta one was always interesting because he was at a Power 5, he's in the Big Ten, then he was out for a little bit, and you're wondering, okay, is he going to resurface? Because when Fred got hired, Thad Matta that name was also a very unique and I think intriguing name because he led a successful Ohio State basketball program before they just had to make a change. But when you look at the assistants that are hungry, they're learning, and they're understanding what it takes to win in that actual conference, I think there's a tremendous value to that.
And Tang's the real deal. I mean, you see it. You saw it last night. K-State basketball last year was lifeless. They looked like they were going back to the Jim Woolridge days, and where nobody was going to the games, half empty. We talked yesterday about Bramlage when it's full and how noisy and what an environment it was. And it was last night. But when it's half full, it is a tomb. And Tang has taken that team and has 180'd it. And so much so that a lot of the KU fans on the message boards, and there were signs of fans there that Tang to Texas. Hey, they don't say that unless they're already, I don't want to say afraid, but they recognize they have a good coach. And K-State basketball, as long as Jerome Tang is there, I mean, they could have days that will exceed even the finest of, say, the Frank Martin era in recent time. Because Frank had a lot of success. Frank got a raw deal there. His teams were always good. They made some deep tournament runs, including in 2011 when they got to the Elite Eight. I mean, it is a great time if you're a K-State basketball fan. And I love what you said, Gary, because that has taken it to another level, getting on the scorer's table and saying that's your one court storming. Get used to this. I mean, just as if the Big 12 needed to get any better in basketball.
Would you get run off the road if you pulled up next to somebody and said, you know what, why can't Nebraska be like K-State?
You shouldn't. Probably would, but you shouldn't.
Two major men's sports.
You shouldn't.
I mean, we've talked about it since the fall.
I mean, yeah. So, okay, Kansas State has obviously had a lot more success with their basketball program in the last couple of decades, going back to Frank Martin. But when you think of what each program, when you just kind of look at both of them, bare bones, take away the history and how you can recruit the conferences that you play in, no, you shouldn't be. But you would be.
Yeah, I know. And I would get look at Kleiman's record. Well, I think Kansas State football is trending in the right direction.
Absolutely there.
And they're not going anywhere next year. They'll still be up there, even though they lose Deuce and some other players.
And it has to go up here for football.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of looking more at the basketball part of it. If you have you add to your roster smartly in what you do.
Mm-hmm.
That's why tonight's a big game for Nebraska. Again, I think it'd be tough to win. And if they don't win, I'm not on Fred's in the hot seat watch.
Yeah.
Because I think he's kind of been on the hot seat. And it's cooled a bit, but you can't lay an egg. That's what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm.
If you lose by 26 again.
I keep repeating this. Last Wednesday was a terrible look for Nebraska basketball. An awful look to lose by 26 at home. You can go to West Lafayette and lose by 18, and you don't have Gary and Grease, so I get it.
Yeah.
And you've played a really, really difficult schedule, which probably looking back now, blue and red Nebraska are probably like, what the heck were we thinking? But you can't at home have eggs like that. You just can't.
Well,
especially you can't lose by 26 and have people go, yeah, it's okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we're good. Wait, we'd still be Creighton.
Right. We still beat Creighton, beat Iowa.
Yeah.
Hey, we were close to Purdue at home, which makes it kind of sting even more. You were the best team in the Big Ten, and I don't think there's any question right now. You were right there with them at home. And then Illinois, who is good, but not to that level, just ran you completely off your own floor.
I think you used the word danger zone. They've done a really good job this year of pulling the parking brake when things appear to be going south. Okay, they haven't let one loss be another and then that loss be another. They've only had one 3-game losing streak, and that was through the stretch of where you lost an overtime game at home against Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
Felt really, really good. Then you lost to Indiana.
Yep.
Okay, Greasel didn't play in that game.
Yep.
And then the Kansas State game, you got beat by a team that's in the top 15.
Yeah, a good team.
Okay,
Very
but
good team.
but then a kind of a tricky Queens University game, you're able to pull the parking brake and beat a team that you were supposed to beat. This just feels like, because I'm looking around the corner, if you lay an egg today, you got to go to Penn State on Saturday. And it's not like Nebraska goes to Penn State and all of a sudden they're world beaters. I mean,
Right.
it's few and far between that they go in there and they play well, because that's just a tough place to play well, because nobody's at the game.
Right.
Okay, so you're essentially going to play another bring your own energy game on the road. I don't think they'll lay an egg tonight. My sense, and I read the press conferences and the vibes, is that 13 is going to play his ass off tonight.
Good.
But he's going to need a little bit of help.
Yeah.
And they're going to be undermanned. I think they'll play hard, and it'll remind you, okay, this team is more likable, but it's going to be tough to win tonight. You just can't lay an egg.
No.
You can't have a performance where you're listless in front of your home fans, and the next thing you know, it gets one-sided, and Kevin and Sean are digging into filler material with 6 minutes to go in the game or 8 minutes to go in the game. All right, Scott Chanley's coming up in the next hour, Brandon Vogel as well. Plus, Nick's got your stat of the day on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Remember, no matter how you listen, it's still AM radio. 1620 The Zone.
It's time to find a career that's right for you. Metropolitan Community College can help you find a new path forward on your time. Whether you need a degree that puts you on a path to a new career or need to finish a degree you've already started, MCC makes it affordable and convenient with a flexible class schedule, online or on campus. It's your time to path forward. Let MCC show you the way. Register today. Classes start March 9th. Apply today at mccneb.edu/adults.
Creighton Sports Update.
Creighton basketball is here, and this is a season you won't want to miss. Affordable tickets for the whole family start as low as $10. Get your tickets online at gocreighton.com/tickets and cheer on your Blue Jays all season long. That's gocreighton.com/tickets. And that's your Creighton Sports Update.
1620 The Zone proudly supports Creighton Athletics.
You can find pizza anywhere. But when you want pizza pie piled high with more toppings, that's when you come to my place, Godfather's Pizza. For a limited time, get your hands on 2 of my large one-topping pizzas. Pick pepperoni, beef, black olives, you choose. All this food for only $29. Feed your whole mob without breaking the bank. Hey, it's an offer you can't refuse. Godfather's Pizza. Do it.
Bonus days are back for pros at Lowe's. You earn points and save when you buy the top pro brands you trust, like DeWalt. Right now, you can save $100 on the powerful DeWalt 8 1/4-inch carbide tipped portable table saw. Was $3.99, now just $2.99. Join today and shop bonus days, only at Lowe's. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. Valid through 1/20, subject to change while supplies last. Visit Lowes.com/MVPs bonus points for details.
Research shows listeners prefer a personalized experience. So to help you remember, Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance. We personalized this ad for Amber, who really misses boy bands from the 90s.
Hey girl, I'm the cute one, here to tell you how Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
I'm the heartthrob. The only thing I love more than you is saving. And I'm the other boy in the band everyone forgot about.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
The brand new Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair is now hiring. Starting wage is up to $20.10 per hour with benefits including medical, dental, vision, 401k, and a $2,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Again, apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Dollar General can't wait to have you become a team member at their brand new distribution center.
Omaha Maverick Women's Basketball welcomes the South Dakota State Jackrabbits to Baxter Arena on Thursday night. Tip-off is set for 7:05 p.m. Hear all of the Omaha women's action against Summit League rival South Dakota State at 7 p.m. on Thursday on 1180 The Zone.
Woodhouse brings you the experts and insight to keep your vehicle road ready.
From regular maintenance to larger issues, our team of service advisors and brand certified techs have the solutions to get you and your vehicle back on the road. Plus, you can enjoy convenience of scheduling online, amenities like pickup and delivery, and for quick fixes, comfortable lounges within our dealerships. Bringing you more every time since 1975. Service with Woodhouse.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Going to be talking some NFL. Scott Shanley right at 9 o'clock. Brandon Vogel as well. Got the text line open. I'll get you that stat here for the 9 o'clock hour as well. Might have a little Creighton basketball theme to it. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Good win for the Jays last night.
It's called a tease.
It is. It's what we call in the biz. It's tease. You want to go to the text line here?
You can read that.
Okay. Is it time?
Well,
here we go.
Yeah. It
Pandora's
says,
box being opened.
Doesn't Creighton only have one more win than Nebraska with 2 times strength of schedule? Shut up about Fred. It goes on. You want to continue?
Sure.
Okay. Said, actually, I'm a Creighton grad, so follow them more closely. I just get so tired of you guys crapping on every Nebraska team coach and Lincoln High School team coach. Your broadcast reaches farther than your little metro bubble.
Keep reading.
Says, maybe keep that in mind. He has major injuries on his team, just like Creighton had injuries. CU had been blown out to. No one discussed getting rid of McDermott.
I was following along until that last line. We're not comparing Mac and Fred in their current situations here.
I don't believe we are.
No, I'll let you go ahead. You can respond. I made my thing about Fred.
Yeah.
The thing about Nebraska basketball is you got to keep the light flickering for this season.
Yes.
Okay. Because there is, if you look around the corner to next year, and got to keep the light flickering. And I just have the sense that on January 18th, when you lose somebody who's as important as Gary, that the light is not going to flicker as much. And you're gonna erase the goodwill that you've built up this year, where we jokingly have said, hey, you got to avoid Wednesday.
Right.
Well, Nebraska's back to trending where they're going to be the 13th seed again.
Well,
and send a thank you letter to Minnesota that they're going to occupy the basement.
You're looking for
I'm trying to hold it to a higher standard.
Yes, and you should. And I think everyone should. None of us are saying, well, now you're at that point where it's NCAA tournament or bust, or even NIT or bust. You want to see something in the program where you're feeling like, okay, it's starting to get there. And sorry if I'm a little bit jaded here, but if you lose tonight, as I've said, danger zone. Like, I feel like that can lead to some consecutive losses and to where Nebraska falls victim to something that they've avoided for the majority of the season. That is an extended losing streak where people become uninterested in what they're seeing so early in the season. I mean, there's still a lot of season to go. And if you start losing the interest of the fans, like, this is where people start to really zero in on very tough decisions. I'm never advocating for Fred to leave because I still think Fred's a great basketball coach. And that's not going to change. But at some point, you've got to hold your program to higher standards. And I think they're reasonable standards. And I think that's the point of bringing up Kansas State in both men's basketball and football. Okay, at some point, you're seeing somebody that doesn't have this major advantage is succeeding. They're doing the right things. They're pushing the right buttons, and they're getting the results. There's nothing wrong at all, in my opinion, to want that for this basketball program. There's not one person that is saying Nebraska needs to get the NCAA tournament every year or every other year. But you want to see something that you can point to right now and be like, yeah, you can see this in the time that matters, which is now, January and February, conference play, that you are belonging with your peers, that you are showing that you can not only look the part, but you can stack that, you can sustain that. And that's why tonight is significant. especially without a key piece for some time in your season. And Juwan Gary, it's a big part. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize about that. I don't think that is being unfair. I think Fred knows it. I think everybody who follows this program knows it. Doesn't mean they're going to stop supporting them. They're going to want them to win tonight. But if you lose tonight, I think a lot of people get very, very nervous about what could follow when it comes to the remainder of the season. And speculation, hey, it's not up to us, but it just exists. And that is not going to change.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect some significant delays from 102nd all the way to 79th along L Street. Then on Dodge, be prepared for just a little bit of a delay from 80th to 72nd. And along Highway 370, be prepared for some significant slowdowns from 84th to 72nd. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This Time-Saving Traffic was brought to you by IBEW Local 22.
Does great pay, fully funded medical benefits, and a solid retirement sound good to you? IBEW has immediate openings for journeyman electricians. Invest in yourself with IBEW Local 22. Call Bob at 402-980-7596.
This is a sale so big that Standard Heating and Air can only do it once a year. Right now, and for a very limited time, buy a Carrier air conditioner from Standard Heating and Air and get a free furnace. Carrier, turn to the experts. On qualifying equipment, for details, call or click.
Your Omaha hockey team is home this weekend where they welcome Miami to the Baxter Arena. Pregame is at 6:30 Friday. Puck drops at 7:07. It's UNO versus Miami this weekend on your new home for Maverick Hockey. News Talk 1290 Coil.
By now, you know that sound. It's the sound of the Home Depot. But what about that sound? You're listening to a set of GE appliances, complete with all you need to keep food fresh, dishes clean, and everything else stress-free. Making this the sound of savings on top brand appliances. The Home Depot. How doers get more done. Final days to get up to 25% off select GE appliances. Ends January 25th. Offer valid January 5th through January 25th, 2023. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Hey, Tapper for the FanDuel Sportsbook, and the divisional round is here, and FanDuel is giving all customers a no-game parlay during the division. Account, you'll get free bets back if your NFL playoff same game parlay doesn't hit. As I've been telling people, I was all over the SGPs last weekend. Anytime touchdown scores, parlay them together, or touchdown scores in the same game, interception throwers, all available to you on the FanDuel Sportsbook with the same game parlay feature. You can even ride with thousands of other fans and bet popular SGPs that are already laid out there for you. If you're new to FanDuel, join right now with promo code HAPPER to see for yourself why it's America's #1 sportsbook. Or if you already have FanDuel, you can start building your own no-sweat same-game parlay right now. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus, present in Iowa, 3+ legs, minimum $1 bet required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max bonus $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you ordered a new air filter for your car. You try to install it, but it doesn't fit. So you take a little bit off the sides. Well, still doesn't fit? Well, you could try to sit on it. Or get it right the first time with eBay Motors Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you know that part's going to fit. Air filters, brakes, headlights, over 122 million parts. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, if you want to have some fun with the divisional round coming up, go down the rabbit hole on YouTube. Watch the AFC or the NFC Championship game from '81. That's the catch. And there's a 92 and 94 in there between the Cowboys and the Niners. So there were some fantastic uniforms, especially what the Niners were wearing back in the day. But the divisional round playoffs are here, and that is one of the matchups of the four. Scott Shanley is here as well. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, before we dive into the playoffs and what happened this past weekend and what is ahead this weekend, we have a big Saints fan that is a listener of mornings here on 1620, and they know you as a former Saint and somebody that covers the Saints. They want you to help them figure out how they should feel about Michael Thomas after 2 incredible seasons, and then the last 2 full seasons that he's played have not been so good. He wants to know, as he says in this email, Michael Thomas leaves the Saints. How should I feel about him?
That is probably the number one question that a lot of people have had on their minds the last couple of years. And because Michael Thomas set the NFL record for most reception in the season, he was emerging as a top 3 receiver right there with DeAndre Hopkins and all these other guys that you want to throw out there, Devontae Adams. And then he had an injury, and he missed the year, came back, got injured again right away, and he's been making a lot of money, huge money. So when those contracts come with expectations, and nothing has been upheld on that end of it, I think the Saints have recently restructured Michael's contract to make him tradable. I doubt we'll ever see Michael Thomas put on a Saints helmet again, and I think he's done with the black and gold. I think they've wanted to make it work because I think Michael works hard. He does all those things right, but your best ability in the NFL is availability. Yeah. And he's made a lot of money the last 2 years and not even stepped on the field. So I think his time is done from that aspect.
Scott, another having nothing to do with this weekend's games, but another big story, and it's going to continue to be for a while. And Aaron Rodgers on with Pat McAfee yesterday, and kind of interesting, not only talking about his future, but also how his future could maybe best suit him elsewhere too. Do you have a feeling one way or the other where we might either see Aaron Rodgers or if we will see him at all going forward?
Well, I certainly think he's going to play. I think he has 50 million reasons to play. I mean, people say, well, he's made a ton of money. Well, $50 million, he'll never, he'll never see that in his lifetime again. So I think he's going to play out this contract. Now, the question really remains, is it going to be in Green Bay? I don't see Green Bay trading him. I think there's probably a part of Aaron that is envious of Tom Brady. I think he probably looks at Tom Brady and says, he played his entire career in New England. He won more Super Bowls than Aaron, but he had this little portion at the end of his career where he chose the team. And I think Aaron probably sits there and looks at teams around the league and says, what team can I do what Tom Brady did? What team has great talent at receiver, great O-line, great defense, great coaching? And maybe I want to be in that type of situation. And I think there is probably part of him that is gonna go to his agent. They're gonna talk to Green Bay, and Green Bay is really gonna have to show him that they want him there, and for that to work out. Because I think there's part of him that wants to go the Tom Brady route and play 2 or 3 years somewhere else if he can win another championship.
Which result this past weekend on the wild card weekend surprised you the most?
I think the way the Chargers and the Jaguars game started off really surprised me. The way Jacksonville played so bad at home and posting their first primetime home playoff game. They started off so slow, but obviously they came back. I think that game, oddly enough, that game was probably the game I was most excited about watching, just because it was 2 young guns at quarterback, 2 teams that you don't often see in the playoffs meeting up in the playoffs, and it was a fantastic game. A lot of people gave up on it by halftime, but that game probably surprised me the most because of the way the Chargers started and then the way the Jaguars finished.
You know, if you do kind of look at this weekend as well as the teams involved. 2 years ago, we were looking at the NFC East and just thought, my gosh, it's a dumpster fire. If a team could even get to 500, it was a miracle. Now you look at that sort of being the premier division as they're represented in this weekend. What to you? Where do you think maybe the best story? I mean, is it as simple as the Giants, given new coach and what Daniel Jones has been able to do this year, or I mean, is there a case to be made with the Eagles, who didn't play last weekend, and just the jump that they've had?
Yeah, I think the Eagles are certainly. The Eagles took me forever to get on their bandwagon a little bit and think that they were that team in the NFC. I still think that they're not so far above everybody else in the NFC that they're going to come out and they're going to roll to the Super Bowl because of the quarterback situation. Jalen Hurts being injured, that puts kind of a dark cloud over what they can do in the playoffs. And everybody knows in the NFL, anything can happen. One game, you see teams that are bad teams all the time beat good teams. So anything can happen in the playoffs, but I think rest matters. So Kansas City and the Eagles getting that rest, especially in a 17-game season now, that bye week is going to be huge. I think they're going to look really fresh against a team that had to go travel, and now we'll have to travel again. So huge advantage for that one seed now. Play one game and you're in the NFC Championship, and then you get a host the NFC Championship. I think the Eagles are a great story. I think the Giants are a great story. It's been a long time, 10 years since they've had playoff success, and everybody was writing off their quarterback. And look what coaching matters. I think that in the end, coaching matters. You bring in somebody who can work well with your quarterback, and look what happened.
Hello, Brian Dable and Daniel Jones. I mean, Daniel Jones is making a lot of money off of the year with Brian Dable. Let's stick with the Giants game. I want to go to the final play and attack it here from your defensive mindset, but also a coaching part of it. So we know on back-to-back plays at the end, the Giants use bracket coverage on Justin Jefferson. So they run that flat 7 concept into the boundary. Dexter Lawrence gets a little pressure, and then you have man coverage outside of what you're doing with Jefferson. Is it a bad play call, or is it a great tackle in the open field against Hawkinson by McKinney?
It is, first of all, it is a great tackle. But I think if I'm the linebacker in that situation for the Giants and he throws that route, knowing what you need to get a first down, I'm thinking there is no way. I mean, this is tackling practice. And I couldn't believe he threw that. But to your first point, I do think it was a horrible play call. I think putting Jefferson on the outside and running a 7 route where basically you bracket him with the safety over the top and the corner underneath, there's nothing you can do. You can't throw him a jump ball. I know he made the play against the Bills, and heck, throwing him a jump ball would probably been better than checking it down 5 yards short of the stick. So probably should have threw it to Jefferson. It was a bad play call. And if he didn't go to Jefferson, there was a crossing route across the middle, kind of a skinny post that was open. And I think Kirk just didn't come back to the left side of the field. He worked the right side of the field. Jefferson wasn't open, so he checked it down. But in that situation, you can't check it down. Season's on the line. You're hoping your guy breaks a tackle. And in the NFL, that probably doesn't happen very often with a tight end.
Scott Shanley joining us here on Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Now I want to go to another. Let's break this down. How do you attack? And it's Jacksonville. So talk about coaching matters. We talk about Doug Peterson, and we see that he is one of the better offensive minds in the NFL. And he has a situation where they went out and spent some money on Jones and Kirk, and you add Agnew, and they spent money on Ingram, and you got Trevor Lawrence, and all of a sudden Jacksonville's offense looks like a Doug Peterson offense. How do you there's a 2-part question, but I want you to answer the first. People look at his offense and go, okay, what is their main play? They run a lot of mesh, but I don't think that's their main way they get down the field. How is a defender? How do you defend? Because it worked for them against the Chargers in their comeback. How do you defend against the mesh?
The mesh is really hard. And for people listening, mesh route is basically you have crossers. You have a low crosser and a high crosser, and then you're going to probably have another intermediate in behind that. So you're creating levels to the defense, and what you're doing is you're putting linebackers and safeties, guys who are down in the box, you're putting them in a bind. They either have to chase the crossing routes, and if they chase them, then the other guy's going to sit. So on mesh, if it's man, they're going to try to sprint away from you across the field. If it's zone, they're going to settle up in the open zone. So mesh really puts you in a bind. No matter what defense you call, they're trying to make you wrong. And I think that's the hard thing about going against mesh. Now, the easy thing about it is if you get a couple incompletions, now you're 3rd and 10. Mesh really doesn't do much. So it's not a vertical offense. It's not a vertical scheme. But Texas Tech, that's really the mesh concept is out of the air raid. That's out of the Mike Leach system. And the West Coast offense has started to integrate it. But it gives you problems because it always makes you wrong no matter what defense you're running.
Okay, so this is what Kansas City, and thank you for breaking that down. This is what Kansas City is going to run into this weekend is Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence. They love the horizontal passing game. Okay, how do you stop the horizontal passing game?
Well, the best defense, the best friend stopping any passing game is pass rush. And that's why I really think that Jacksonville kind of matches up good against Kansas City because they can rush. I mean, the Walker kid, the number 1 overall pick out of Georgia, is a good player. Allen, the other defenseman, they have guys who can get after you rushing 4. And that's the best way to stop any passing game, whether it's vertical or horizontal. If you can keep 7 guys in coverage and take away those zones and take away those open options just by putting more defenders in the zone, that's how you defend really good passing offenses. So I think because Jacksonville has a really good front 4 and they can sit back with 7 guys in coverage, I think that's a good matchup for them.
How many screens do you think you'll see called in this game?
Probably a lot. And screens, I love screens. I think most teams need to run more screens because every defense, I've sat in the room, every team I played on, every coordinator talks about effort, hustle to the ball, 100 miles an hour. And that's great. You need that to be on defense. But how do you negate that? You run screenplays. You try to slow defensive linemen down. You try to slow linebackers down. So I think Kansas City is one of the better screen teams, if not the best screen team in the league. And that always presents a challenge to teams that want to rush and get up the field really fast.
Scott, Josh Allen, he kind of dismissed the mistakes last weekend against the Dolphins. And when you look at this game against the Bengals too, I think it's only natural to wonder, is Josh Allen putting too much on himself? Is there too much on Josh Allen? And can that hold here, not only this weekend, but if the Bills are to sort of validate some of the preseason forecasts of getting to the Super Bowl? I mean, is he trying to do too much in your opinion?
Yeah, I think what you see in Josh Allen now, I kind of equate it to the Brett Favre. Josh Allen's better than Brett Favre, just more talented player, but he has a little bit of Brett Favre in him where he thinks because his arm is the strongest in the league that he can make any throw, he can fit any ball in anywhere, and he'll just launch it. He'll take those chances because of what he was born with that right arm. And sometimes that gets him in trouble. Now, I think the Bills need that to get where they want to go. But when you turn the ball over as much as he has the last half of the season, it's going to cut your season short. So there's a fine line of being aggressive and then being conservative. But ultimately, I think the Bills season doesn't hinge on Josh Allen's play or their offensive play or running the ball. I think their defense to me will have some games where they just go out and say, "What are you guys doing?" And their defense is going to have to play really good against a Bengals team that doesn't beat themselves.
Brock Purdy, is this the weekend that the glass slipper falls off?
Yeah, if I had to guess, I would say yes. I think the Dallas Cowboys fans, if there's ever been a year to get to the Super Bowl, this is the year. To me, the NFC is as weak as it's been. The NFC South was horrible. And for years, the NFC South was always a really good division, one of the most competitive divisions. That division's been eliminated. I think this is the year that the Cowboys have a really good chance of getting to the Super Bowl. Now, playing on the road back-to-back, that's tough. You're basically on a short week, and you're playing a team, just like I said, the Bengals don't beat themselves. The 49ers don't often beat themselves. They have a really good defense. They're going to try to run the ball against the Cowboys defense. That the Buccaneers didn't even try to run the ball against the Cowboys defense. It was one-dimensional the whole time. It's going to be a very different challenge. I think it's going to be a close game, but I definitely think the Cowboys defense can give Brock Purdy trouble.
Interesting there. I like that one, Jimmy. And speaking of that game too, going back to the Bucs, for me it was hard to maybe draw an enormous amount because we know the Bucs they're not great, but winning a playoff game on the road. What did you take away from what you saw from the Cowboys? Because if I'm hearing you correctly, you got some confidence in the boys this weekend.
Yeah, I had confidence in them really even after the Washington game. When they went to Washington in the final week of the season, they were sleepwalking. They were zombies. They got beat by a team that they're better than. And it gave them a chance to regroup. It gave them a chance to say, okay, now that season's over, but this is the season we've all been talking about for a year. This is the season that we have to get ready for. And the way they played against Tampa Bay, you could tell that they knew that the season was upon them. I was encouraged because they looked like a confident team. They looked like they were playing faster than they did against Washington. The defense was flying around, and Dak played really well. So Dak's going to have to play well. The Cowboys' offensive line is not what it was in the 90s or what it was even 4 or 5 years ago when all those guys were really young and having the best offensive line in the league. I think Dak's going to have to play well. He's going to have to make some throws. He's going to have to do some special things, just like Josh Allen's going to have to do some special things. It's really going to come down to the Cowboys' defense. The Cowboys' defense has been the strength of the team all year. They have to play the way that they did last year this week again for them to get a win.
Hey, let me ask you, there's a conversation coming up because of the 8 teams that are left have some assistant coaches that are highly sought after by teams that have openings. And so they want to interview them this week. And I think I heard there's some OC that has 4 interviews. Like, how can you possibly prepare for the most important game to that point of your season when you're also preparing for all these interviews? Because to interview for the NFL as a head coach is not just like it's an hour and a half Zoom meeting, right? I mean, usually these are pretty in-depth with everybody in the organization. Are we going to get to a point where they delay head coaching interviews till Super Bowl week or maybe after the Super Bowl?
I honestly, I would like them to delay it. And I think there's good reason to do it. I definitely think it's a distraction. And like you said, these aren't interviews where you sit down for a half hour and you move on. You're sitting down, you're talking to the general manager, the vice president of the organization, everybody in the front office. The owner is going to talk to you certainly a ton. So it is a distraction. And oftentimes you'll see these teams with all these offense coordinators, defense coordinators, and the hot candidates who do this, who do interviews during NFC Championship or AFC Championship week, and that team ends up losing. And it is a distraction. There's no way you can put the amount of time into your game planning that you normally would. And to me, I don't understand why it can't be delayed, because in college football, there's urgency with your head coaching position because you're recruiting. You have to keep people coming through your building. In the NFL, you're drafting guys. I don't understand why this can't be delayed till after the AFC NFC Championship games. And if you're interested in somebody, even after the Super Bowl.
Real quickly, too, on another takeaway from the weekend, and it had to do with someone who wasn't even there, and that was Lamar Jackson with the Ravens. Is you've been in this league, you know how sometimes players will, be cryptic in their stance on, their future. Do you read anything into that of Lamar Jackson, not playing in this one, even though Michael Vick was kind of calling him out, but the fact that he wasn't present during that playoff game?
Yeah, I think that said more than anything. I know he's frustrated, and I know the organization's probably frustrated. And, the Deshaun Watson contract to me is not going to become the norm. And I know guys like Lamar Jackson and quarterbacks like him who have won an MVP, they want it to become the norm. But what every other owner has done around the league has said, listen, we're not going to let the Cleveland Browns define what is normal, because we're not doing anything that they've done in the past and say it's going to work. So he's not going to get $250 million guaranteed, certainly from the Ravens. I think that the Ravens are probably going to try to franchise tag him again, and this thing could get ugly. But if you're the Ravens, you have to start to have a plan for if it doesn't work out. If Lamar Jackson says, I'm not even going to play under the franchise tag, only Lamar Jackson knows if he was healthy enough to play in that game. I have to believe that he was, if you're playing 80% on a hurt knee, it's probably not smart to go out there when you don't have, certainty in your contract. So, I don't think he was probably healthy enough to play, because I think the competitive side of him probably would have went out there with his teammates and played, even though he doesn't have a contract. I just don't know how it's going to work out in Baltimore. When you have a running quarterback, it's hard to give him $250 million and say, okay, we'll use you 10 games a year.
Great stuff. We appreciate the insight, Scott. Enjoy the football this weekend. We'll talk to you next week ahead of the championship games.
Yeah, sounds good. Take care.
That's Scott Shanley. Good stuff in there about
all I heard is the Cowboys going to win.
Well, I mean,
get your attention there.
Looking like at the lines, and I don't know, there's part of me that it looks chalky this weekend. But I go back to one road team in the division round has won every year since 17, except for 19. 19 is the outlier. What team is the most likely? Is it the Bengals and the Bills, which I think that line needs to be a little bit smaller, where I think the Niner Cowboy line needs to be a little bit larger. If the Bengals going to be able to become another offensive line injury. Yeah. Is Jacksonville going to pull off a major upset? Now, as a Chiefs fan, there have been situations in this game where the Chiefs have laid an egg.
Lynn Elliott.
Oh, there's Marcus Mariota. most recent.
Peyton Manning.
No, I
punts.
I don't. Jacksonville's playing well. I don't take anything for granted. Or is it going to be the Giants? The Giants all of a sudden have this unbelievable sense of confidence.
That's a good one. Divisional opponent.
They're playing Philadelphia, who may be starting to get healthy, but is Jalen Hurts fully healthy? Because he's the major cog in that. And you're playing a team for the third time. So there's no secrets on either side. Or is it the Cowboys? And I agree with Scott. I think this is one of the best opportunities for the Cowboys to win a Super Bowl. Because I think if they throw the knockout punch and they knock San Francisco out, which is my favorite to get to the NFC, Nick's favorite as well, then I like him against the Giants or the Eagles the following week.
Oh, you guys are getting him in a Josh Peterson optimism.
Just take it for that's
whatever
that's worth.
But here's my hesitation in that game is one of the quarterbacks is going to make a mistake. And there's going to be in the fourth quarter a major coaching debacle. As much as you can be enamored with Kyle Shanahan, Mike McCarthy, do you trust your football team enough that they can play essentially 2 straight weeks of perfect football?
Do you trust your kicker if you need something late?
Yep. No, it all matters.
I think it
all matters.
I think you do. I think you trust Brett Maher.
And what a story if he hits, say, a 52-yarder to win the game.
The bounce back.
Well, how about just hitting an extra point?
I guess let's start small.
You win 21-20.
Hey, I'll take it.
You hit an extra point.
Yeah, let's just start there.
Oh, great. You guys have got me to a point now where I might actually be, if it doesn't happen, I'm going to actually be down.
I was trying to tell you to calm down on Monday. Very happy being a very cynical realist, and now I'm getting that optimism like I'm 10 years old again. Thanks a lot. Hey, no, go ahead. I was going to throw out a stat real quick too.
You're either going to get the Brock Purdy that is playing really well and is this great story.
Yeah.
Or does Brock Purdy become the last pick in the NFL draft and make a mistake that he's been able to avoid?
But the coaching thing too is, who do you trust more? Ask Cowboys fans, ask Packer fans who they would trust more out of.
This would be another opportunity for me to remind Bronco fans, you could have had Kyle Shanahan, but
that's mean. Now that's Chiefs fan trolling Broncos.
I'm hoping for the Kyle Shanahan that blew the Super Bowl a few years ago by deciding, we're not going to run the ball. Nah. Never mind, Honey Badger said afterwards, if they kept running the ball, we couldn't stop them.
How interesting that it'll be Dan Quinn against Kyle Shanahan's offense again.
Yeah.
And those two share that game in common.
Mm-hmm.
See, I like Dan Quinn. I think Dan Quinn had a really, really good game on Monday night.
Yeah.
And what their defensive game plan was. And, Brady didn't play. That's one of Brady's worst games, in my opinion. But see, I like Dan Quinn. I really, really like Dan Quinn. That's the guy that I don't want to go to Denver.
Well, and that defense, and I think Scott was brought up a great point too. What they had to deal with on Monday, and what they're going to have to deal with this weekend. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of go back and forth on this. But yeah, I mean, I feel like if you're the Cowboys, you get through this one. Boy, I love you in the NFC Championship game for
the Giants.
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
Would the Niners do something that they've, I want to say never, but I don't recall. Would they say, you know what? We're playing at home. Let's wear the whites and let's force the Cowboys to wear the blues.
No. Divisional opponent. Now, if they end up going to Philly, I could see that like in the 1980 championship. But no, I think Niners just go with their normal home uniforms or go with the 94 throwbacks. That might be a nice touch.
The gold pants.
Those 80s and 90s Niner uniform.
Yeah.
Don't they just pop next to the Cowboys?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
They're iconic, man.
Gary, you brought up a great point, and I actually thought of this yesterday, talking about these coordinators and Dan Quinn. This is why, I mean, he's interviewing for jobs. And I actually thought yesterday, how are they able to focus and game plan for a playoff game with a coaching interview and thinking on a much smaller comparison? I mean, when we were moving up here, I was interviewing with you guys. So we did the Zoom with Gary and Damon and David. And then I was interviewing for another job somewhere else. I had no focus on the job that I was doing over the summer. My mind was like half here and there. And so that's a tiny, tiny comparison to these NFL coaching interviews, which obviously aren't like, 30 minutes, let's see what happens. All right, we'll do it. And at the same time, you're planning for a playoff game. And then in the case of Dan Quinn, on short timing, that's 6 days. I don't know. I just
maybe it bodes well for the Chiefs. Bieniemy is only interviewed for the Colts job, which this go around. This
that was a while back.
I forgot
of the
about
cycle. This is the fewest jobs that Bieniemy has interviewed for.
Yeah. Which I wonder if there's something to that. Maybe he'll take over when Andy retires eventually. Do Chiefs fans would they want
I don't
that?
know. It's been a weird dynamic this year with play calling with Kansas City.
Yeah, and Nagy away too.
Because go back to, as oddly as it sounds, when the Chiefs lost against the Colts, there was a meltdown on the sidelines between Bieniemy and Mahomes, and it appeared that Nagy was more involved in the second half.
Yeah.
But now it looks like it's back to normal, where Bieniemy and Reed are back to their their co-play calling on game days. I don't know. Tennessee requested to interview him for the OC job. That's the first time I can recall another NFL team requesting an OC job, not a head coaching job, but going OC instead, and they don't have an opening in Tennessee. But he's only interviewed for one.
I do find that interesting.
But there's not. I thought there'd be there's not as many openings this year in the NFL.
Right, but remember last year too, the number went down. So it's for Bieniemy, it's actually kind of trending in the wrong direction.
What about Arizona with Kyler? I mean, I know Frank Wright is interviewing with them, but I would think Bieniemy.
Last year was only like 3. I think maybe 3 is what he interviewed for.
If that.
And it just, you never felt like he was a serious candidate for any of them.
Well, on cue, ESPN is showing highlights of the 92 and 82 game. Oh, you don't want to look now, Jimmy. That's the catch.
I've heard.
Look at those 3 defenders coming after Joe Montana. Throw the back of the end zone to a car touchdown.
Sounds just like Vince Scully.
Well done.
That was Dad's 25th birthday. Not a good birthday for him.
All right. Double bonus here. In the hour, you got a chance to win another $100. We got to remember what Nick is about to tell you.
So we're going back to Creighton, by the way, last night. Baylor Shireman had 2 trays, 12 points as he finished with. Did you know, and here's the number to know, that he has now made a 3-pointer in 29. That is 29. Know that number, 29 straight games for Baylor Shireman. So there is your stat. Get ready for that.
I had to go look at this real quick. Oh, my. I went down to the rabbit hole yesterday of watching old Niners Cowboy games.
It's addicting.
How great in the 92 game was Alvin Harper's catch?
You know the story. Well, which one? The one in the third quarter when he went deep down the sideline, or the one that won the game?
When he went deep down the sideline, got tackled inside of the 10.
Yeah, just went right up over, I believe, Don Griffin. The slant that won the game.
That field was terrible, a candlestick.
Yeah.
Half sodded, half not sodded, because they ran out of sod.
They usually run the side, like the new side, over the middle of the field.
He and Michael Irvin switched sides for that last slant because they kept going to the other side on when they'd call that play, and Michael wanted the big play. So lo and behold, the slant was there, and that was supposed to be Michael Irvin who was going to catch that. Instead, it was Alvin Harper, 70-something yard reception. Kelvin Martin scores on 3rd down, and that's that.
Man,
not that I don't remember.
Aikman against Young and Irvin
MVP
against Rice.
3 years in a row.
And that was the change. That was the passing of the torch from the Niners to the Cowboys.
Joe Montana was still on that Niners team in 92 as a backup before.
There was a time for Mike Beloved. They used to play the Niners in a lot of high leverage games in the postseason too. The Bears Niners in the 80s, right before the Niners got going.
Game.
Oh yeah.
All right, Brandon Vogel of Hail Varsity will join us before we're done on this Wednesday edition of Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, start the new year off right in a Mazda CX-5. From Woodhouse Mazda or Woodhouse Place Mazda, the Metro's exclusive Mazda dealers. This is the car that I drive, and I absolutely love it. The great thing about Woodhouse Mazda right now, they got inventory available on the lot and arriving daily for one of the most popular SUVs you're going to find. This is the car, again, that has everything you want, from safety features like the 2022 IIHS Top Safety Pick, and you got confidence behind the wheel. The suite of features, including blind spot monitoring, rear crossing traffic alert, and adaptive front lighting system. So as you turn a corner, the LED headlights pivot in the direction you're turning. It improves visibility, especially with the weather coming. You also can enjoy standard all-wheel drive in every one of the Mazda CX-5 models. Shop online at WoodhousePlaceMazda.com or WoodhouseMazda.com, where you can chat with a Woodhouse sales team member, shop inventory, and even apply for financing. Also visit 2 convenient locations in Bellevue and in West Omaha, where you will always experience a streamlined process to save you time. Woodhouse Mazda, a drive worth experiencing.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West 1 Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. 1620 The Zone wants you to win Gary's booty. Whoa, wait, what? Win $100 or more every weekday on Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Listen during the 6 and 8 o'clock hours for Gary and Nick to give you their stat of the day. Then during the 7 and 9 a.m. hours, listen for the cue to call, know the stat, and win a buttload of cash. Answer it correctly, and Gary's booty gets even bigger. Yep, we'll keep adding $100 to the booty bank till the correct answer's given on air. Win your share of Gary's booty on Mornings with Sharp and Handley with 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV Newswatch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Winter storm warning in effect Wednesday. Expect a light wintry mix and snow to move into the metro between 9 and 11 a.m., then changing over to heavy wet snow in the afternoon with temperatures in the lower 30s. Road conditions deteriorate throughout the day as heavy snow persists through the evening drive. Heavy snow becomes light overnight, then will wrap up by early Thursday morning. 6 to 10 inches possible in the metro. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley, brought to you by MD West 1 Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine on 1620 The Zone.
Omaha men's basketball hits Interstate 29. You want to win the Summit, you got to be good on Interstate 29. And the Mavs head to South Dakota to take on South Dakota State at Frost Arena. Difficult place to play in the Summit. Can the Mavs pick up a victory? Well, we'll describe it for you coming up on Thursday night, 6:30 airtime with the pregame show on News Talk 1290 Quail.
It's the lowest month-to-month rate of the year with no contract and no enrollment fees at Genesis Health Clubs. It won't get any lower than this, and enrollment fees are waived to celebrate 2023. This offer has been extended for a limited time. Hi, I'm Rodney Stephen. It's the new year, and you have set your New Year's resolutions, right? Well, it's time to go. I have good news and bad news for you. The bad news is, if you don't get started, your New Year's resolutions won't happen, and you'll be in the same place next year. You have to take that first step and build habits that will change your life forever. One of my favorite quotes is, if it is to be, it is up to me. And that is absolutely true. And we know you can do it. We'll help you every step of the way. We help hundreds of thousands of people reach their fitness goals each year. And what about you this year? Join Genesis Health Clubs for our lowest month-to-month rate that we'll offer in all of 2023. Plus, no enrollment fees and no contracts. Offer extended. Act now. It will not get any better than this. Join at GenesisHealthClubs.com now because this special won't last. This offer has been extended for a limited time.
We're 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning. Yep, we're called 1 Hour because we promise to arrive at your home within the hour that you select. They don't call us sometime between 10 and 6 Heating and Air Conditioning or before Tuesday Heating and Air. We're not maybe next week we'll fix your AC or we'll get to it between now and August AC repair. Nope, we're 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning, and we're
always on time or you don't pay time.
Call 402-333-5000 for a free duct cleaning every time we seal your duct work. Each location independently owned and operated, licensed in their respective state or county.
Join up, join in. It's time to make good on those New Year's fitness resolutions by becoming a member at Croc Center Omaha. There you'll find a full range of fitness activities, from free weights to Zumba classes to an indoor track, pickleball, and more. Join now and save. We'll waive the fees, plus you'll get 1 month free with an annual paid in full or auto pay membership. The Croc Center is just moments away from the Kennedy Freeway and Q Street. Go to omahacroc.org for more information. That's omahakroc.org.
This is a sale so big that Standard Heating and Air can only do it once a year. Right now, and for a very limited time, buy a Carrier air conditioner from Standard Heating and Air and get a free furnace. Carrier, turn to the experts. On qualifying equipment, for details, call or click.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Yeah, I think for the first workout video of winter conditioning that was released by Nebraska, I think we all handled it well.
That's the first time we're actually mentioning it.
Yeah, I don't think our our reaction was an overreaction.
No.
You maybe had a little bit of Kool-Aid got on the lips. but you did not go for the full bottle.
It's always going to happen.
My observation with my extensive strength and conditioning background, that team's going to be fast. They are building a speed operation in Lincoln. And just the little that I know, I didn't stay in a Holiday Inn last night. I actually stayed in my own bed. So to take this with a grain of salt, is the explosive part that we've all been clamoring for, like quicker, lighter lifts, not for girth, I guess, would be one of the best ways to describe it. It appears in the limited video that they showed that is the case. Xavier Betts is in a lot of stuff. Xavier Betts is like on a 3-day string of being in post by Nebraska football. There was one where, the whole team got together on Sunday night. Yep. Xavier was in it.
Mm-hmm.
They did a community service project on MLK Day. Xavier was in it. And then he was in the video yesterday of the team working out. I think we handled it well. I think we did well in the middle of January of not to go over the top on the first workout video under Corey Campbell that has been released.
You just wait till summer, man. I get a little antsy.
That's when you're mainlining the
Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid.
You know what? I'm gonna give us all credit. I think we might be maturing. Because
until we're
I'm gonna have to save that clip.
No. I think we're maturing. I think we're over off-season national championships. I think we've grown up. Everybody, good. Yeah. Yes, we have.
Good job.
But speed.
Pat yourself on the back for that one.
Hey, speed. That team in Lincoln this year, moving forward, speed.
Do you think that word, though, still gives Nebraska fans a little bit?
Gives Keanu Reeves a moment of...
Oh, can we go? I remember one time you brought up speed before. I got really excited. Got to talk about Dennis Hopper. But remember the whole Central Florida Scott Frost model too and speed. Do you think that word doesn't excite people as much as maybe it would have like 6 years ago?
Maybe. But I think you look at the players they've recruited since they've been here.
Yeah. I mean, different.
They all have that like in common.
Yeah. It's not the 5'8", 5'9" little speedster. We're not looking to see who's going to be the Duck R.
No. Brandon Vogel will come up here in a little bit. Do not forget about Jeff Daniels, by the way, in speed.
He was great.
I said he was.
Love Harry.
He was my favorite one.
I like Jeff Daniels.
Jeff Daniels is great.
That's our scumbag.
Yeah, they did him dirty in that movie. They truly did.
Oh yeah, that last scene.
Yeah, didn't need that. He was working hungover that day. That's how you're going to end it? Jeez. Didn't like that one bit. Hey, I showed up hungover. You better not be calling in sick.
Man.
Then they did speed too.
And then we wish we were all hungover.
True. Brandon Vogel is coming up next.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. The best way to catch all the action is on 1620 The Zone. And no line for the bathroom. It's time to win Gary's Booty. Be caller 4 right now at 402-951-1620. That's caller 4 at 402-951-1620. Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is your home for the big game. Whether it's the pro football playoffs or a rivalry on the hardwood, you'll find all the action on Oscar's upgraded audio-video system. With 40 TVs and massive dual projectors, the game has never looked better. Pair that with their award-winning char-buffed wings and $7.99 Monday through Friday lunch specials. Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill has everything you need. 173rd and West Center Road, and for takeout at 162nd in Maple.
The brand new Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair is now hiring. Starting wage is up to $20.10 per hour with benefits including medical, dental, vision, 401k, and a $2,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/career. Again, apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Dollar General can't wait to have you become a team member at their brand new distribution center.
Winning comes without a guarantee. Focus, discipline, and extraordinary effort make winning more likely. Sometimes our greatest wins come from major setbacks. Coming back from a serious injury is a win that requires teamwork. At Berry Law, we're in it to win it.
If you have been seriously injured in an accident, call Berry Law today. 402-999-7777.
If you're like most Americans, you can see things are out of control. Global problems have local consequences, too many of them. And if the next news headline spins us into chaos, you'd better be ready. Grocery store supply chains are only as strong as their weakest link. Don't wait for them to break. Today is the day to secure emergency food for everyone in your family. My Patriot Supply is America's largest preparedness company. Our specially packaged and delicious food stays fresh for up to 25 years in storage. It'll be there when you need it. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and pick up several emergency food kits. There are a dozen different sizes that average over 2,000 calories per day. As we all know, calories equals energy equals survival. And as you'd expect from a true preparedness company, our food kits are in stock and ship quickly. Those who know what's coming are preparing today. Go to mypatriotsupply.com. mypatriotsupply.com.
Hi, I'm Nolan Sullivan, Senior Captain for Omaha Maverick Hockey. Omaha Hockey is coming off a home sweep. We've won 5 out of the last 6 at home, and because of you, we're ranked 4th in NCAA attendance. Get your tickets for the rest of the season and help us rock the Baxter. Please help us keep this momentum going as we try to earn home ice for the NCHC playoffs.
Get your tickets by calling 402-554-MAVS or by going to omavs.com/ticks.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you ordered a new air filter for your car. You try to install it, but it doesn't fit. So you take a little bit off the sides. Well, still doesn't fit? Well, you could try to sit on it. Or get it right the first time with eBay Motors Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you know that part's going to fit. Air filters, brakes, headlights, over 122 million parts. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, here we go. We welcome in Brandon Vogel from Hail Varsity, the magazine, hailvarsity.com. Good Wednesday morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Good. Hey, I'm going to put you on the spot, and you have to choose either or, because I was thinking about this, of all the discussion about Xavier Betts returning to Nebraska. Is if you look at, and these two guys are Nebraska high school products, they aren't separated by that much, like in the composite rankings. And for the most part, they were both high 4 stars. One out of Bellevue West. The other will join Nebraska this summer, Malachi Coleman from Lincoln East. One has a little bit of a head start on the other, and now he's back. Who do you think will have a better college career? The Xavier Betts 2.0 or Malachi Coleman?
That's one where an easy answer doesn't come straight to mind for me. I guess I'll go with the one that feels a little bit sure, just in that we haven't seen kind of some of the struggles, for lack of a better term, as we have with Betts' side. So I'd probably put my money on Coleman at the moment. But if Nebraska can make this Betts thing work, with a change of leadership, some new direction there, that has the potential to be a pretty big win, I think, for Nebraska. I guess technically on the recruiting trail, but maybe not. Kind of from out of nowhere.
Well, yeah, and I'm glad you went there, kind of out of nowhere. The additional, I guess, the addition to the wide receiving room that we didn't necessarily know was going to happen is with Isaiah Garcia-Castaneda as well. How do you kind of look at that group all of a sudden here in just a matter of a few days?
They've definitely given themselves some options. Garcia Castaneda was a player that I liked quite a bit, coming into the year. I may have a personal bias towards those players that maybe proved themselves at a G5 school and are ready to make the move up. And, we saw some good things from him early on, and then it just kind of faded away. It was kind of an interesting one in that he was a player who jumped into the portal after the change. So you wonder about that a little bit, but I'm like, you got a guy who's been there, who understands what it is. He should be, ready to go. It wasn't off that long.
Help me here. There's, especially in a month, they've kind of flipped the wide receiver room to give Garrett McGuire some options and Marcus Satterfield some options. Adding Sherman was a nice pickup because you could never have enough edge guys. And there's, we're wondering about Butler. What's his upside? Where he's going. Chief Borders. What happens? I'm intrigued by Wallen. But the area that I'm drifting to, and I think you and I share the same sentiment, that of all of the additions in the offseason, whether they be portal guys or recruiting guys, man, I am really concerned about the linebacker room. As we hit the final day of this portal opening before we get to May, what's your comfort level right now with the linebacker room at Nebraska on the 23 roster?
Yeah, it goes a little bit overlooked, I think, based on kind of, well, I don't even know why it's been a little bit overlooked, but I think you're right. As you're coming up to kind of the end of this portal window opening, and you look at Reimer and you look at Henrich, who was dealing with a health issue towards the end of the year. You feel good about those two. They play a lot of football, but losing Hausman, starts to hurt a little bit more the more that you think about it. And I mean, it hurt plenty, just seeing the way he played as a true freshman. So it'll be one to watch going through the spring. Probably moves up, I'm guessing, moves up the needs list when you get ready for that second portal window. But you're looking at some guys who have been at Nebraska for a couple of seasons now, kind of got to make a move. And I mean, that's one of the nice things too, I think, about a coaching transition, is those guys who have been working their way up, haven't made it there yet. Fresh set of eyes, fresh set of instruction. It makes me at least a little bit more curious about some of those players in a way I wouldn't be in a normal off season.
I mean, it would be, and he's the guy that, man, I think there's definitely something there, and I think he's going to pop sooner than later. It almost speeds up the urgency to get Eric Fields on the field where you can see what you have at that position of need.
Yeah, I would agree, and still thinking back to the way that Rule talked about him on signing day. Maybe that's not being exposed to Rule enough in the past, but I haven't heard many coaches kind of be that forthcoming and upfront with a guy who really they had just gotten in the days leading up to signing day. It was an effusive review. Let's put it that way.
Brandon, we were talking a little bit about, Casey and Jeff Sims and a little quarterback competition. And the one thing that we haven't given much discussion, and we were kind of going over this a little bit earlier today, is the person who positions themselves, at least for this year, to kind of be that number 3, because you would be led to believe that would be hopefully the guy that you're kind of developing and bringing along. Is there somebody on the roster that continues to intrigue you that maybe it's not this year, but this is someone to keep an eye on as far as kind of waiting their turn and then getting that opportunity that maybe it turns out good for them?
Yeah, I would probably still go to Smothers unless Brock Purdy's success travels down the family line over the course of this upcoming offseason. Not that I write Chuba Purdy off by any means, but what we saw of him and what we've seen in Smothers over a fairly similar sample size, I'd still give a little bit of a leg up to Smothers. And I mean, spring's going to be interesting with Sims in. I think back to Satterfield, talking about you've got to have like some form of quarterback run game. Seems to me to maybe suit Sims a little bit better than it would Thompson. So how big of a factor is that? Not saying that I expect Sims to kind of win that job when Casey can't compete for it, directly. But you look at something like QBR and kind of compare it to overall team strength. They had pretty similar 2020s.
Yeah.
Casey's first year at Nebraska went better than Sims did in a lame duck year at Georgia Tech.
So that's and I kind of like been sarcastic the last couple of weeks. If you got to choose your fighter, new coach comes in, new OC, they identify their guy, they bring their guy in, and oh, by the way, there's a guy that was here that ran an offense that, somehow, some way he stayed upright for, all but a couple of games. Like and he's not going to be able to go through spring ball at least the full health part. Like, who's going to bat for Casey Thompson? And I'm not saying that in a negative way, because I like Casey, and I think Nebraska needs both of these guys because both of them had injury issues in the past. But who do you think Brandon goes to bat for CT?
Yeah, that's a good question. I hadn't thought of it. When you have the coaching transition, other than Raiola, who obviously coaches a different position, there's not a ton of people who were around Casey Thompson for the time that he's been at Nebraska. And it seems, just based, I think, on what we can see from the outside, that the connection between Trey Palmer and Casey was pretty strong. But that's out the window. Marcus Washington, maybe. I mean, he's got the most kind of in-person, in-depth experience with the quarterback. But one of the things I found happening for myself over the season was just listening to Casey talk and getting a better sense for who he is. I think he's somebody who would resonate with a lot of football coaches, with just his devotion to the mental part of the game and really being a student of the game, for lack of a better term.
Hey, Brandon, real quickly too, I know the recruiting weekend that Nebraska has. I did want to bring up one position in particular because it does seem like an area that is still very much up in the air for Nebraska, and that's tight end. Looking at a visitor coming in with connections to Bob Wager, with Smith Flores coming in. What do you know about him? And is the fact that we saw that he does have interest from Iowa, I think bodes well at that position, given what they've been able to do. But can you tell us much about him?
Yeah, not a lot at this moment. I mean, I think with coming in with basically approved by a coach who's new on your staff, I think is pretty good deal. And you look at the offer list, and the Iowa offer does jump out. That's a position too where now that we've gotten through some of the top line ones, you start to look at that room and you're like, oh, you got a lot of youth there. You kind of look at it, or at least I do, and think, boy, the sooner Fedoni can get back and become the player that I think he still has the potential to be, the better. But right now, Nebraska's kind of needs that, I think.
Yeah.
And just given the history, I don't know how great you feel about that. So that's a spot where we're getting another guy in, I think would make a lot of people feel a lot better headed into the spring.
Hey, you think we're going to – how soon before the next adjustment of the calendar, whether it be a signing period or portal window?
I think pretty soon. I think we're kind of quickly finding out. And, reading and hearing some of the stuff that came out from the coaches convention and from the various NCAA committees, like it seems like, college football coaching has always been hard. It's always been almost always on, but now just with the extra roster management piece of it, on top of NIL, there's almost no break. It feels like it's literally always on now.
Yeah.
And I think people are starting to feel burned out a little bit. So it's, I don't think we can wait too much longer. It'll have to go through the NCAA and kind of whatever approval process they do there. But I think coming, maybe not before this next early signing period, next December, but I'd be surprised if something didn't happen shortly after that.
Was Bo right with his idea?
Remind me which one.
So he said when you decide on a school, you sign right there on the spot. And you remember we even looked at it at the time and said, I don't know that that's going to work. And a lot of people outside of here scoffed at it. But, man, that was 8 years ago. And I look at the concerns of the coaches right now. Man, there's a lot of what he said that might have to be revisited to help because we did this for the benefit of the prospect. But, man, what does it do to the coaches, and what does it do in the day and age of the portal with roster management trying to figure it all out? I'm wondering, and alluding to your point you just made, who's going to step in and spearhead this? Or is it just everybody just needs to get through the extra COVID year and then things will settle in? It's a weird time right now for college football recruiting.
Yeah, it is a weird time. And, getting out of kind of the COVID eligibility. I mean, Tristan Gebbia, your quarterback, hopping on at Ohio State. Good for him. It's like, man, that's the long. And it feels like that way with a lot of quarterbacks now.
Yeah.
The idea was that Bo had, he might have been right. Like, if a player wants to go early, like we don't have to wait until, a December 3-day window and have all the hoopla and have kind of this hard deadline that, we've already seen the trickle down effect of coaches get fired earlier so you can get started searching earlier so you can be ready to go and have, 20 days before that December signing period. Like, let the players sign if early if they want, and maybe just go back to the traditional February signing day. And if the player signs and a coaching change happens or something, they can open up after a certain point in December or whenever it is, and you'd have kind of the late traditional signing period close, I guess, maybe 6 or 8 weeks.
Great stuff, Brandon. As always, we appreciate it. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too, guys. Thanks a lot.
It's Brandon Vogel. Hey, Demetrius Bell, who, who's available from Nashville. The Nebraska just went and visited, and he's going to get a visit. So this time of the year, you're in January, and at first, when I heard the name, I was like, is he a portal guy? Name doesn't resonate. Then I looked at his film, and I realized the guy's in high school. Why didn't he sign?
Right.
That's why is he still available?
Yeah.
There's something will have to be done. But I think you need to first let the COVID run finish and see if things settle down in terms of the portal and roster management and processing and numbers before you make any big decisions.
Yeah.
But who's going to be that person that spearheads that stuff to move forward?
And we're pretty much about a year away from that.
Yeah. This will be basically about the last year where where coaches will have to manage that extra year on your roster. But we're starting to see it in other sports that you are recruiting at a high level and you want to move people along,
right?
Yet they can still come back. We were seeing that a lot in volleyball.
Yeah.
Ohio State's a prime example. Ohio State had to process some really good players because they're older and they're kind of hanging on their roster and they're bringing in this incredible recruiting class.
Yeah. They're jamming up the roster. It's the reality of it. Like, thanks for your service, but it's time to move on.
All right. Great show, everybody. Good discussion. Just be aware that we do have a snowstorm on the way here to Omaha.
6.3, by the way. That's my call.
I went 4.663.
5.2.
All right. Let's hope that we're all over in the Price is Right game.
Yeah. A dusting would be nice.
Be safe out there, and we'll keep you updated. We'll keep you company. Connor and Josh coming up next, and then Josh and John in the afternoons, and we'll be back again tomorrow at 6. For Jimmy, for Nick, I'm Gary. Crossover with Connor is coming up next on 1620 The Zone.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio.